Hello, 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 everybody. I hope you are having a great day because you are here on the Transatlantic Call-In Show with Josie and Luxander. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right, just, dealing with things one day at a time, laughing where it's possible to laugh and just trying to focus on things that I have control over. How are you doing, Josie?
I'm doing all right, and I hope you're laughing at people that don't deserve to be laughed at. No, I'm just kidding. At least
Yes.
they deserve to be laughed
I'm a
at.
notorious bully. We all
Yeah,
know this.
yes, absolutely. I'm doing well. I actually overslept this morning, which I'm usually like, oh no, that's bad, but honestly, it felt so good. Like I was like in heavy dream state. So when I
Mhm.
woke up, I was like, it was like already like 9:30, which is like really late for me.
Yes.
And I was like, yeah, but I will say, I probably got so much sleep is because the big news of the campaign for me is that we qualify for public matching, which is a huge, huge deal. So the county's going to write us like a $70,000 check for the campaign, and we've already raised 53,000 total. So thank you to the line and all of the viewers.
The Zerba link.
Yes, the Zerba link has been on fire. I think we've almost raised 10 grand on that link alone, which is wild and wonderful. So just gotta say that. Yeah, for
I'm just
sure.
glad that you got Forrest in a dress. That was
I
pretty
know.
wonderful.
Three
3 diff Yeah,
dresses.
yeah. One of them I think was like a romper, but yeah.
Yeah, that's true. One was a romper, so the for the accuracy of it all. But I, I,
Mhm.
I think Forrest found some new great date night outfits that he has available now to him. So especially
Yeah.
that sweater dress with the pants,
That was
I was
good.
like, that was good. That was very flattering. It
I mean,
was
he
it
needs some
was
jeggings.
yeah, oh yeah, for sure. For sure. Yes. So if you haven't watched that fundraising episode with me and Forrest on the Cuz I Wanna, go ahead and do it. It's a long one. Lux missed outing with friends.
It's true. I
And
just didn't know. I didn't realize that it's like when Erica and Forrest go together, like, I didn't realize that you and Forrest also have the synergy of a 6-hour show. So now I'll be prepared for next time.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And all of you that are playing bingo right now and says Josie talks about Act Blue site mention, that's a little bit too easy of a square. Like that, I mean, like make it a a little challenging for
I don't think
yourselves,
they have a
chat.
free space in the middle, so there's gotta be a couple on there that are, like,
I
basically a free
guess.
space.
I guess. That's fine. I see you chat with your little dots. And if you want to play bingo, join the Discord. We have a Discord. You can join it. And also join the Patreon, like and subscribe, and do all of the things. Do all of the things because it helps the
Press
show.
all the
And we are
buttons.
we're almost at 200,000 subscribers, which is huge. We are a force here on the YouTubes, and it is super great. So let's go ahead and take a look at last week's poll. Should government allow bounty suits to enforce trans bathroom bans in private businesses? And surprisingly, everybody said no, almost, except for
Overwhelming
the
no.
2%. The 2% bounty hunter is trying to live their bounty hunter dreams. If you are one of these bounty hunters, please tell us, how is the life of bounty hunting and is it profitable?
That's a question. I just imagine, like, a scenario where a group of, like, trans people all start making hella money by, like, even reporting, like, non-conforming cis people. Like, I don't know a lot of the details of this. I know that this was from Kansas, which is so weird because they already passed a bathroom ban, like, before I moved. That's part of why I moved away from Kansas. So but now they're, like, I think partially because some of that previous law was struck down in court, so now they're just like it's called shotgunning, I think, when they're just like, "Let's put as many things out there as possible," and some of them are bound to hit something. Um, so yeah, this is like, if you see a person in the bathroom that you think shouldn't be in there, then you can call, and I guess, like, if it's confirmed that the person you were talking about is trans, then you get, like, money. Like, what an incredible
Wow.
way to spend tax dollars in a state where, like, you already have, like, relatively high income taxes, and it would be great if maybe you could put that into, like, public works or something, but no,
Yeah.
instead, we're ruining people's lives for no reason.
I mean, if you know a transphobe, just just call into the hotline and say, "Hey, I saw this transphobe sneaking around in the girls' bathroom,
Yeah,
because they were looking for women, because they've probably done it before. So might as well get them and get that free monies from the state for
yeah.
reporting your local transphobe to the authorities."
This is a little bit unrelated, but did you see someone posted a phone number around that was like, call to report illegal immigrants, and it was just some person who set up a thing that's like a pay per minute. So it just plays hold music and charges people like $4 a minute to be connected, and that person like apparently has raised like $17,000, which is crazy. I feel like you're going to get in trouble for that at some point, but very funny.
Hey,
That's
this country
praxis.
runs on fraud now. So,
Ayy.
if the president can do it, why
Accurate.
can't you? Don't do fraud. Don't do that. It's bad.
No.
Don't do that. Be ethical.
Consult with a lawyer. Check your local laws.
Yeah, check your local laws. Do not commit fraud on my behalf. Just saying that for covering my ass, as
Yeah.
you are all doing degenerate things like being trans in public. So let's go on to next week's poll before we take our first call. Is it worse to be trans or to be in communications with Epstein post conviction? It seems like a tough question. I would love
Mm.
to see how this turns out. And all you that vote in communication with Epstein, it's a self-report. It goes directly to the FBI. I'm just saying.
Yes. And for all of you who are like, what are you talking about specifically? Because there is a very specific thing that we're talking about.
There
We'll get
is.
around to it after we take a
We
call or
will.
two.
We will. So let me take let's look at
Ooh,
the
we are full up right
questions.
now.
Yeah, we do. Let's see.
I
Which one
feel
do
like
you
it's
want to
just worth
take?
mentioning just to the callers really or to the audience
Hmm.
really quick. We are starting to limit how many like advice calls we're taking on this show. So if you're trying to call in and the lines are full, it's very likely that there are probably several people waiting for just advice. So we want to make sure we're freeing up those lines so that we can get some oppositional callers. If there's anybody out there who doesn't like trans people, if you think being trans is worse than being Epstein, if you think that kids don't deserve access to medical care, if you think something stupid about transgender people in sports. I'm kind of getting tired of that one, but we're here. We're queer. We're ready to throw down. So
I know.
get in the
Ugh.
queue, 720-619-2288. And if you are calling because you just want advice, maybe consider calling back another week because we are full up right now.
So speaking of advice call, which call do you want to take?
Yeah, is that all we have waiting right now?
I think so. Pretty much.
um,
I think caller
I
the
guess
number 2 is looks like it could be 3-2 could be a
yeah,
little
3-2 is
Three,
what I was
two.
looking at as
Yeah,
well.
I was
Yeah.
thinking looking at that one too. So we'll go ahead and start with Daffy, they, them from the Eastern United States. So wants to talk about non-binary person and only see two genders. What are you missing? Tell us about it. Daffy, you're live on the
Wow, I
line.
didn't. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can hear you fine.
Excellent. I did not expect to be fixed first, honestly. So my confusion is not about individual people. I don't have any interest in dismissing people. I'm just trying to get a better understanding of what they mean when they use certain words. Like all of the gendered terms I hear, like agender, bigender, two-spirit, they're all in relation to male or female. And I see a fundamental two-ness to this. I don't understand what people mean when they say there are more than two genders.
I mean, I'm curious in what way the term agender to you signals a binary implication.
Well, it's saying it's looking at the two options of male or female and saying no. Like there are two buckets to grab from, and they're grabbing from neither of them, but they are not grabbing from a third bucket. And that's they're looking at the two things and saying no, thank you, and that's fine. But there's still a fundamental number two going on here.
I don't know. I disagree. I think there's just multiple buckets that you can choose from, or you can choose from neither, which would be a gender. But go ahead,
Yeah, because
Lux.
like I identified as gender queer for a time, and that to me was like I am trying to embody or conceptualize like a completely separate thing. Like and of course, like the framework in which I was born presents like a binary of two options. And you could take every single choice I make and categorize it as, well, that's still inherently either masculine or feminine. Because like, okay, what do you do? Like, do you have to like, do you shave all of your hair off? Do you remove all of your hair follicles so that you don't fall into the trap of long hair equals girl and short hair equals man? Like, do you remove all of your fingernails so that you don't fall into the trap of short, dirty fingernails equals masculine, long, pretty fingernails equals feminine? So, like, when I started identifying as agender, that was me rejecting all three potential options. Or, like, I don't even think that within non binary or within genderqueer, that's like a third option. It's like a number of different potential options. Like, there are people whose gender expression is just like goth, and that's just kind of how they construct a gender identity, is like through alternative or like atypical or non-conforming presentation. And like non-binary people, as I said earlier, like they may take a mixture of what we consider to be masculine and feminine traits, but they're creating an embodiment that defies categorization in that capacity. Like you couldn't reasonably say that a person who is mixing and matching features like that is still choosing to either be masculine or feminine, I guess. I don't know.
So there's a bit of a misunderstanding of. I think you may be misunderstanding my point very slightly. You got like 90% of it, but one little bit of it is it's not about the individual. I'm saying this person can grab from either or neither bucket as much as they want. And it sounds like in your case, you're choosing very specifically to grab from neither bucket, and that's a valid choice. But I would not then go on to say that this person is picking masculine or feminine. I wouldn't put that on the person. That's not my point. My point is there's still two buckets to be grabbed from. And then there's this third thing that you mentioned, like goth. My problem with that is that doesn't sound like a gender. That sounds like a personality. So from what
I'm gonna
the
rock
conflict that
your
I've been having,
fucking shit
right?
right here. Personality and
Okay.
gender are the same thing. Like they are facets of the same thing. Like part of how you understand your personality is through a gendered lens. So like, I mean, you know, we could go down the rabbit hole of like tree gender or cat
I don't know,
gender.
Lux. I'm gonna push back here because if somebody
Please.
had no gender, would that mean they have no personality? Ooh.
I mean,
Ooh,
it's
yeah.
certainly a
That's something.
facet of personality.
It's a facet of personality, but it's not connected to personality all the time.
But
Because if you
my
have no
rejection of
gender,
gender is part of my personality. Like my lack of gender is a part of my personality in the same way that my lack of a belief in God is part of my personality.
oh man. Okay, okay. This is interesting. I now I'm ready to explore Lux's point of view about what is personality, but we won't go there yet.
And being
So
a
It's
different
actually
type of woman is a different type of personality as well. Like your womanhood could be a
I
feminine
think those
womanhood
are
or a butch
expressions.
womanhood.
Those are expressions, not personalities.
I guess maybe our definition of personality might be subject to extreme personal view of like what the term actually means. Like an aspect of who you are, how you understand yourself, how you move through the world is how
Yeah.
I would describe personality. And so gender being a significant component of how you see yourself, perceive yourself, and move through the world is an aspect of your personality.
Yes, it's an aspect of your personality. But I do think personality stands on its own, right? Because some people are funny or witty or, like those type of things are like part of your personality traits. Or maybe you're more closed off. Maybe you're more open. Like, that I think are more personality traits that are completely detached from gender. Um, you know, People may present them differently as with expression, but yeah, this is why I love humanity, because it's incredibly complex and
agree.
it's so fun to play with that. But Daffy, I want to posit this to you. So
Yes.
when we look at binaries and when we look at like the perceived binary of man and woman in the gender categories of humanity, it's most of the humanity, I guess 98%, right? Like if on the high end. But I do think about it more in the lines of like, if this may be helpful for the way that I look at it, is the universe is made up of several elements across the periodic table. It's like over 200, and so when you look at all of these elements across the periodic table, and when you zoom out of the entire universal makeup, 98% is helium and hydrogen. But like, but we live in the 2% of the universe that
Can I
isn't just
can I jump in
helium
for
and
a second there?
hydrogen. Yeah, go ahead.
So I think we're going back to this is why I have a really hard time having this conversation, because it gets interpreted a lot as trans people don't exist, and that's not what I'm talking about.
I'm not
Like
saying you are saying that.
I appreciate that. I am talking about the 2% here. Like, you're talking about people who are mostly conformant to their birth sex, as you're talking about mostly cis people, or
Yeah,
even like
mostly cis
I don't
people.
know the right. Yeah, but I am talking about the 2%. I'm saying those people, which I guess includes myself as a non-binary person, they would be um, like, you're saying zoom out and look at the whole thing. I'm saying zoom in and look at each individual piece. Each piece is drawing from one or the two buckets, and
I
maybe it's
don't
long
think
hair,
so.
short hair, and maybe
I
you don't
disagree.
think so. Okay,
I don't think
I'm
so at
interested
all,
in what
because somebody's own
you know.
gender is their own expression of how they identify is its own special thing. Like, just because most cis people look at non-binary and make a reference to their own understanding of man and woman doesn't mean the non-binary person has to do that. Like, just because a non-binary person may have to be like, "Oh, I'm neither woman or man," we say that to help put a reference point for a person who doesn't understand the concept of not having either or being one of the perceived choices. So I think it's a limitation of language, because I think
Agreed,
that
limitation of language.
right, it's a limitation of language. So a lot of times people refer to the genders to try to explain their own non-binary selves. But at the end of the day, it's like, if I doubt, and maybe this is I will ask Lux this question directly, or you, Daffy. Like, when you're talking to other non-binary people that already are non-binary, are you referencing your gender to based on the reference of man and woman?
No,
I
I
mean,
refer to
no.
myself as by gender, and my experience of being by gender is that I feel both man and woman constantly unchanging. I'm not gender
Well,
fluid. I'm
that's
by
for
gender.
you. Well, that's for you, Daffy.
That's for
Like,
me
like
personally.
that's for
Personally, yes,
you. But
and
that's not every non-binary person, though. So
I
for
completely
you, your
agree, and
statement is true.
that's why I'm struggling here, because I only know the binary. I was raised on a binary, and I've non-binaried myself into another binary, so I'm confused. Uh,
Yeah, I think that
I
this is
appreciate this
like,
though.
Yeah.
yeah. So this is I have been in this for like 16, almost 17 years at this point, of like identifying as non-binary and being openly out as non-binary. And
Hmm.
I find it really interesting, like as a person who's agender, to hear someone talk about being bigender in that way, where it's like, some people say like they switch back and forth between the two, which is not to say that they're gender fluid, but that they switch between two binary options, or that they feel an embodiment of both at the same time. So my experience of being non-binary is that I don't understand what any of you are doing with these binary things. And like I also kind of at this point don't necessarily vibe with some aspects of non-binary identity as well. Like when people are like, I'm specifically going to identify as like demigender or something like that. Like I am starting to get to this point where I'm like, okay, like I definitely feel alienation. Like that is kind of my experience of gender, is feeling alienation from these concepts and feeling like the impact that they have on my life is irritating to a point where I'm just going to start ignoring them completely. And like, I'm not really trying to go for any particular gender expression, and I'm not really concerning myself with how other people think of me. So I think in a similar way to how you're having a hard time understanding that perspective, I have a hard time understanding. Oh, I mean, I can understand it. I don't necessarily empathize with the feeling of like, I feel both like a man and a woman at the same time, you know? So I can understand how your framework of your personal identity is kind of going like running up against a wall of understanding. And like I'm gonna affirm and validate that we still live in a system in which we literally cannot do things without them being put into one of those two categories. Like no matter how
Limitations
much
of
we try to
language.
buck gendered expectations, right? Like aspects of gender expression within American culture are going to be perceived as on a scale of masculine to feminine. And it might take like a couple more centuries of work in this for that framework to like stop being as pervasive in our lives. Or maybe it'll never be less pervasive in our lives. Like, I don't know. That would require a lot of people to do some deconstruction that they're maybe not willing to do. But like, I don't know if that helps at all with your understanding that, like, for a lot of non
It
binary
does.
people, they're defined by that
It does
alienation of the
actually.
concept entirely.
Hearing your perspective about how what I'm describing is alienating to you, that is very helpful for me understanding this. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, you basically saying how the whole concept of gender confuses you, and not just very simplify what you just said. But that's I said in the chat I thought this would be enlightening, and I think that's happened.
Yeah. And it's an
Mhm.
interesting
Yeah.
topic of conversation.
I do have an analogy I'd like to give you guys if you want to. I want to hear your thoughts on it.
Sure.
The analogy I wrote up is it's like you go into an ice cream shop that can mix flavors in any way you want, but they only have vanilla and chocolate available. They can mix the two however you wish, and most people come in and grab one flavor and leave, or some people will go in and take both, or some people will take nothing and leave. Some people will get swirls, all different mixes. But then a typical transphobe conversation is like the transphobe will say there are only two genders, and then there's a response of this person got a swirl, this person got two scoops of each flavor, therefore there are more than two genders or two flavors. I'm using my own analogy here. But I'm left thinking, behind the counter, there's still those two flavors. Like the transphobe's being a dick on how he's presenting this argument, but I'm still left confused by the answers. I'm still left as confused as he is, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's
Does
your
that make sense?
personal experience. Yeah, no, and I think it makes sense for someone who identifies as bigender. As somebody who's bigender, you can be like, I can mix or do whatever I want. I can get the twist, I can get the
Right,
swirl, I can
right.
do the individual. And I think that like that is fine, but I would say that um the reality that the transphobe is living in is like they're in one side room of the ice cream shop. It's like you're in the side room of the ice cream shop where there's only like chocolate and vanilla, and then you walk out the door and it's like, whoa, there's like so many different flavors. Like why have I been
Yeah.
trapped in the room with just chocolate and vanilla this whole time? And that may be just the reality that you live, which is completely fine, but it doesn't eliminate the fact that there are flavors outside of the lived reality that you also have, which is the bigender reality of that there is only chocolate and vanilla, but there's other people walking around with pistachio, right? And they're just like,
What about
and
Right.
sherbet? Is it even
yeah,
ice cream? What about
yeah,
gelato? What about
yeah,
froyo? You know,
exactly,
like there's
yeah.
options.
There's so many options, and it just goes on and on and
Shit, I forgot about
on.
the froyo.
Yeah.
Yeah, see? And then there's like whatever McDonald's serves. Like, so there's there's just so many things that exist
When you go in and
out
the ice cream
there.
machine is broken.
Yeah, yeah, of course, of
True.
course. Yes, that's right to repair, baby. That's what we need. Anyways, that's
Oh,
my
thank
legal
God
side of
someone
going
said
out.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So awesome. Well, Daffy, I really appreciate your call, and
I
I'm
appreciate you
glad it
answering it.
was enlightening. Yeah, for sure. And you have a great rest of your day, okay?
Can I just say like 10
Yeah,
seconds? Um,
sure.
I've been trying to call into this show for several weeks now, and I keep missing it by one day. And the first time I try, I am the first person to be called. I am so blessed right now.
Yay!
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. Great.
Thank you
Well,
so
have a
much. You
great
have a
rest of
great
your
day.
day. All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Doodles.
Bye.
Awesome. Well, that was a good first call. So
Yeah.
before we get into the next one, let's go ahead and look at the poll and see how the chat voted. Oh, wow.
Yes.
And apparently 94% in communication with Epstein is worse. Okay, that's right. I was like, wait a minute. I got
I'm
confused for
surprised
a
by that
second.
6%. Yeah.
Yeah, that 6% says trans is worse. And if you were part of that 6%, please elaborate
All
how.
in.
Yeah, I would really, really like to know. Do we have billionaires watching the show right now? Like, is that what's happening? Do we have that many billionaires watching the show where they're
Listen,
just
you need to
like,
pay us reparations via super chat, okay?
yeah.
But the specific thing that that prompted us asking this question is like this most recent dump of the Epstein files has shown some worrying connections between the anti-trans movement and the Epstein cabal, the Epstein network. And one of those prominently is that J.K. Rowling apparently has been in contact with Jeffrey Epstein, including inviting him to a screening of The Cursed Child after his conviction. And also notably, it seems as though, and I haven't confirmed this myself, but it seems as though she also just illegally deleted all of the information about her yacht. Like, you have to have a manifest of like where you port and like all these kind of things. So she's just deleted like a decade of that information. So it kind of seems like she's connected to Epstein, and we will discuss perhaps more in the coming weeks of other ways in which the Epstein files are directly related to this current swell of anti-trans rhetoric across America and Europe. So fascinating stuff, you
It's
know?
fascinating, and how she was like, I'm a champion of women's rights, and literally like involved with a person who has been implicated, a person who was convicted guilty
Yeah.
of the world's largest child sex pedophile ring. It's
Yeah.
awful. It's awful. It's
Yeah, and
awful.
she like quoted Lolita as though it's like a love story, and she
Yeah.
sent roses to Marilyn Manson, who is like he's like a convicted woman beater or something. I don't remember what the
Oh,
exact thing with him is, but like she's just an awful person.
our
We know
world.
this.
Like now we know, like I think this is the perfect case study to show if you have over $1 billion in your account, like it breaks your brain.
Yeah,
It
you become
literally,
insane.
you become a predator of all types. It's so strange how, like, I hate to say it, like the QAnon people were on to something about the elites doing terrible things to
Yeah, isn't
kids.
it
Now,
crazy how they've
it,
just kind of stopped talking about it now?
I know. Like, and the thing is like the only thing they twisted was they just said it was like the Democrats.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's always been the wealthiest among us that have been the most horrifyingly cruel, egregious human beings. Like, this is a case for why billionaires shouldn't exist. They just should not exist. They are a plague on our society and are morally repugnant to the goings ons of humanity's ability to just be culturally good.
Yeah.
Like that, I think it's just what it is. It's like there. Oh my God,
There should not exist a class of people who can traffic children and have just no consequences from it ever.
and
It's
just to be
not the
buddy
thing that should
buddies with
exist.
each other. Like like, ugh, like why would you even want to be friends with people like this? Like it's like, but that's what it is, and it makes me feel so gross that guess what countries produce the most billionaires? The United States.
Yay.
Like, it's like, woo, it's like good for us. We're the biggest exporter of the most vile human beings on the entire world's surface. Like, it's just like good for us. Yay,
Yep.
America
We're number one at
exporting all the,
something.
yeah,
Listen.
yeah, yeah, take your wins where you can get them, right? Oh my God. Ah, it makes me so sick
Crazy.
inside.
Yeah, it's
Anyways,
gross.
moving on. Let's see. Let's go with 13.4. Does that seem
Yeah,
right to you?
looks good.
All right. All right. So we are going to be talking to Ben, him from Rhode Island. Ben, you are live on the line. It looks like you want to talk about that most people are transphobic. So tell us about it.
Hey, sure, yeah, and I really appreciate your openness. I would say I think most people are transphobic. I think the term like the what do you call it, suffix phobic can mean fear of, but it can also mean just like avoidant of, if you know what I
Mhm.
mean.
Yeah.
That like just prefer to like a cat avoids water, not with a particular sort of hatred, but just avoidant. And I think most people are in that case. I think there are people who are genuinely transphobic in the latter. Like I don't identify as someone on the latter side of that. But like for example, I have 6 kids. If they encountered someone who was like, I don't know how to say this, but like a man with a beard wearing a dress, I think they're going to go, that's doesn't, that's kind of weird. And I think that's okay to say that.
Well, how would you answer that, Ben? So let's say your kid comes
What's
up
that?
and
Sure.
you see if you see a person with a beard wearing a dress,
Yeah.
what would you and your kid was like, "Ooh, that's gross," or "Ooh, that's weird." What would you say as the parent in that situation?
It depends how old the kid is and all that kind of stuff.
Well, let's
I
play it
mean, I
out.
think,
So let's start with 5 years old. What would you say?
yeah, I would say, yeah, it is. It is.
Would you?
Like, it is. In the
I
sense
take
that,
Why?
issue.
like,
Okay, so having
that's
interacted
not
with a lot of
normal.
children when they see something gender nonconforming, like when I was like presenting as a masculine person and I was wearing rainbow earrings, they were like, "You're a boy.
Mhm.
Are you wearing a rainbow?" I was like, "Yeah, rainbows are cool." And then they go, "Okay, that's cool." Like I think that your assumption that your children will think it's weird is because you treat it like it's weird already and they have absorbed that from you. It like that you would reaffirm the idea that like somebody wearing clothes is weird, like means that you are a bad influence on the next generation of people.
Well, I mean, my daughter's a streamer. I'm not streaming now, but I encourage her to go to a drag bar and watch a drag show. And I don't have any, I don't have any problem with that.
Why would your reaction not
But
be with the 5-year-old? Like some people like to wear dresses.
because I actually think like that, like if we came across, I believe we came across you, Josie, wearing what you're wearing, no kid would have any problem with that. They would just, you know what I mean? You're passing,
Yes,
you know
I
what I mean?
am
But I think
passing. Yes, I understand my
other
privilege.
people, having a beard is a choice that, is publicly kind of saying like, I'm trolling. You know what I mean?
Why
If
are
you're
you
wearing clearly
teaching your
feminine clothes,
children
you're
to
trolling.
judge people's choices?
I'm just saying to say it's weird just means
That is a
it's
judgment.
unusual.
You are casting that as aberrant, as abnormal, as something worthy
Yeah,
of note. If you were to respond,
yeah.
well, some people will like wearing dresses, that is the end of the conversation for your children in terms of like that does not create this idea that trans people or gender nonconforming people are aberrant or abnormal or noteworthy. Like
Well,
just
I mean,
describing it in an objective
good.
sense. If you're just like, yeah, that person has a beard and they're wearing a dress because they like to wear a dress, that's all children need to be able to understand the world from that point.
Okay, I mean, you're lecturing me. I'm just saying. I thought we were having a conversation. I'm 6'8". A lot of little kids will be like, "Whoa, you're tall." Okay, and if they say like that's unusual, and they say to their parents like, "Whoa, I've never seen a guy that tall." Like I have no problem with that. It's unusual, sure.
It's
And then
not
after you play
unusual.
basketball and things like that,
It's not unusual, Ben. It's just another human being that has a taller than average height. Like that's not unusual. That's just another human walking around. If a kid walked up, because I've also raised a kid from 4 to 6 years old. Like if a kid came up, my kid back then would have been like, hey, that person's super tall, that's super weird, I'd be like, no, some people are tall.
But it is unusual. I mean, you would have to say it's unusual to be 6'8".
No,
I
you
think there's
wouldn't.
like
You
one
just
in
say it's above
10,000
average.
people.
It's
You
above
can you
average.
can share in your
Well, I mean, you'd
child's
have to say it's
like
unusual. The difference
exuberance in
would
the
be
world. You could go, wow,
me
yeah,
being
that person is
go ahead.
really tall. I bet they can reach tall places. Like, you
Yeah.
understand, you can objectively acknowledge in a
Mm,
non-judgmental way a fact about the world without portraying it, especially because, like, this example of tall people is really dodging the issue, which is that you are portraying trans people and gender nonconforming people, which is a class of person, as
sure.
other, as weird. So, like, the sensitivity with which you need to approach this issue is perhaps heightened in a way that just remarking on someone's tallness isn't. But to be a responsible steward of your children and a responsible steward of the future, describing things as they are and saying, wow, yeah, that's cool, is different than saying, oh, yeah, that's weird. Do you not understand the
Yeah,
difference between
the
those
difference
things?
the difference is because obviously even children understand that being tall is just like it's something that you're born with, right? Or whatever, you're born with the potential. And wearing a dress and having a full beard at the same time is a choice, and it's certainly an odd choice.
It's not an
I just
odd
don't
choice,
really.
Ben. There's so much to say. Okay, wait. Let's hold. I'm gonna pull it back a little bit. I'm gonna pull it back a little bit. All right, because I think that we're just gonna get it. We're gonna hit this impasse, and I'm not ready for it yet.
Sure,
So
no problem.
so I yeah. So Ben, like the crux of the, like, let's go back to your original statement that most people are transphobic, and I think that when you're positing this, I think you're really comparing it to your own lived experience on how you view the world. And I want to say this because, like, words like odd, words like weird, words like unusual. Unusual is like fine. You can say unusual. That's fine.
Mhm.
That can be, that can be pretty neutral in a lot of ways depending on how you use it in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
context.
yeah,
But like
sure.
odd and weird have been historically used to otherize people who are not quote unquote normal, right?
Yeah.
Normal is a word that is designed in when you're talking about people in particular, I mean, normalization, or the idea of to normalize people into these specific boxes, are essentially where the discrimination comes from, right? Anybody who is deemed outside of the parameters of what is seen as normal, anybody who's outside of that definition of normal is seen as other, and then that's the root of discrimination. That's the root of getting people
I don't
to
agree.
conform. Or you don't agree with that?
No, I understand what you're saying. It can be, but simply recognizing that you're saying othering. I think what you mean is othering in a negative sense. I mean, you were just talking about billionaires. Billionaires are other, right, than people who are not like in that elite. Generally, it's seen as positive um, if you're super wealthy, but you are different than other people,
Sure,
right?
but again, I'm not saying to not be a billionaire is normal, right? I'm just saying that there is a
Well,
billion.
yes, you
Okay,
are. Of course, you are.
well, okay. So okay, really good job derailing me there because
And
I
you're
almost
you're you're
did
actually
that.
trying to turn billionaire
I
into
almost,
like a pejorative.
essentially, yes. That is
Well, that's
that.
inherently what othering does. I
Yeah.
personally, and I'm not going to speak for Josie,
So
I do think being a
you're guilty
billionaire
of
makes you a
othering
freak.
billionaires.
Yes, I'm going to affirm, and I'm not speaking for Josie. I'll speak for myself. I think being a billionaire makes you a freak. It makes you a bad person. You should be othered by society, right? What I'm advocating for
I
is
kind of
that
agree with you on that. Yeah.
cool, I'm glad. Most other types of human differences, including choices like what you wear, should not carry an othering distinction where it's like, yeah, that's weird. Because you realize, like, if you teach a child, like, yeah, it's weird for a person with a beard to be wearing a dress, at some point in their life, they're going to see a man wearing a kilt and they're going to say, you're weird. Or their friend is
Yeah,
going
I
to
do think that's
be
normal.
trans when they're
Yeah.
in middle school and they're going to say, that's weird. Like, you're creating an other group that your children will not see
Well,
themselves in, or they will not see the humanity in a way that is different than,
well,
like I said, non-judgmentally, just saying like, yeah,
yeah.
maybe you could just say like, I haven't seen a person with a beard and a dress recently. That's interesting. Instead of
I mean, I
reifying that
actually
it's
did see a
other.
man recently with a beard and a dress, and I was like I guess you could say transphilic because I really wanted to talk to him because I really think that trans people have a lot of insight. I do streaming, and I have so many young males who identify as cis hetero Christians who I think are like really not in that gender, and I think repressing their, you know what I mean? Like I think they have
Sure,
issues, and
but
I
Ben,
think it's okay.
I,
So I was
I,
actually drawn to talk with this person. I don't have any, but if a
Why would you
child was
describe
to
it
say
as
like, well,
weird?
that's
Why would you teach your children that it's weird?
well, no, I would just affirm if they say like, yeah, that's weird. I think the person is like, so the difference between you, Josie, and someone who's doing that is
That is you teaching
you're
your child
choosing
that it's
to
weird.
like
You know that you
conform
can
to.
redirect. You can redirect. You can
Okay.
reframe for your children. You might say like, yeah,
Oh,
that's
sure.
maybe new for you, but be like you don't even have to spin it as a positive, but you can just say like, yeah, that's interesting. Or like, yeah, I think that's new for you. Or you could spin it as a positive because you apparently think positively of trans people. Like it's so confusing because you're on the one hand saying like, yeah, that's weird, but also like I like trans people. And so I just have a hard time figuring out why you don't
Well,
understand
I like
that it's
trans
not
people in some
okay
ways,
to
but
say
like
that it's
let's
weird.
say in the sexual marketplace, I have no interest in trans people whatsoever, and I think that's okay.
I'm
I
not
don't, I
interested
don't
in going
care,
down this.
Ben.
I'm not at all interested in going down this pathway. Like I would rather stay
Okay.
on topic. Why are you telling your children that it's weird to dress non-conforming?
I'm affirming that this person is trolling
They're not trolling. They're living their
the nor
How
lives,
they
Ben.
do you
certainly
know?
are. No, they
No, they're
certainly are.
not.
The
No,
How do
they're
you
not.
know?
the
Do you
beard
think
and the
that
dress
all
is trolling.
it's
I like trolls,
subversive, but
but
that
like
You
doesn't
are
a
so
mean,
5-year-old can't
rude.
really understand
yeah,
the
You are
troll.
a huge jerk. Like I don't know if you
yeah,
understand that, but you are
Oh,
so rude.
oh,
uh,
you're mad at me.
yeah,
Okay. You can be angry.
no,
I don't
Yeah,
care. I'm
because
just
you're
telling you
actively rude.
my experience.
yeah.
All right.
Did
You
you
can
Ben,
end the
did you
call. It's no
ask?
problem. You say
Did
you
you
want
ask?
to
Did you go up to
hear
the person and say,
a
"Are you
different
wearing that dress to be a troll, or
perspective.
are you just making a shitty assumption about someone?"
yeah,
I think a lot of
like
transgender people would say, like, yeah, we're openly trolling. I'm not sure if you
no,
ever.
we're not. We are not. We are not,
You're
Ben.
not,
That is the
Josie. You're
problem.
not.
I
You're not. But
don't
some
single me out
people
as
are.
one of the good ones, Ben. I'm getting annoyed that you keep on singling me out
It's
as one
okay.
of the good ones. It's really frustrating me and it's pissing me
I'm
off.
not saying you're one of the
Like
good ones. I'm just saying you're doing something that
I'm one of
other
the
transgender
normal
people are not
ones.
doing.
That's what they're trying to make me seem. I do not want to be categorized in your normalness narrative, right?
I don't think you're
Because for
normal by any stretch of the imagination, but like I don't. I think you're doing one thing, and sometimes people are doing something else. And I think it's
like,
okay that
what
they
am
do that,
I
but I think it's
doing,
okay
Ben?
that we
What am I
recognize what
doing
they're
that's different
doing.
from myself? What am I doing different than what is Lux is doing right now? What am I doing
You're
that's
attempting to
different?
pass. You're attempting to pass.
But that doesn't. Why? But do you? Okay, I'm really curious now. I'm going to interrogate you.
Sure, yeah,
So
sure,
Ben,
sure.
why do you think I'm trying to pass? What gives you that impression?
Oh well, it's obvious.
What's obvious about it?
Well, I mean, you're making yourself look female.
Why?
Well, you'd have
And
to
I'm
answer that
looking like a
question.
woman. Well, exactly, because you're making an assumption about my appearance without even knowing anything about the reasons why. The reason that I attempt to pass, and it's not even really like it's just my normal waking up a routine, is because I'm
Sure.
incredibly gender dysphoric, and my gender dysphoria
Yeah.
makes me want to do the things that make me feel comfortable in the world that I live because my social
Sure.
dysphoria is very high. So I don't want people on the
Sure.
street to be like, "Oh, what are you?" Right? I want to just live my
Yeah.
life like an average person. It has nothing to do with the fact that I'm trying to pass. It's just I do it because it's
Okay.
naturally who I am. But
Okay. Sure. Yeah.
somebody else There are other people who are trans women, trans men, and non-binary people that don't give a fuck about passing because they don't have that in their mind. It doesn't give them distress to walk outside with a beard and a dress because they don't have to go through the pain of getting their face zapped by lasers for 4 or 5 years to be able to not have to wear a beard. Like, I envy
Yeah.
those folks. I envy the people that have the ability to go out and wear a beard and a dress and live their best fucking lives because they didn't
Right,
have
they
to go
make a
through the
different choice than
pain.
you,
Yes, but they're not doing it because they're
and they're aware
trolling.
of
It's
the
just because
consequences. They're
what
aware
are
of the
the
consequences socially.
consequences? It's not because they're aware of the consequences because they choose those consequences. It's because it's put upon them. And Ben, you know how fucked up it is to think about a person that could actively live their lives in a beard and a dress and walk around the world without being ridiculed and be able to live their best lives. Instead, there are people out there that say they're being weird, they're being trolly, they're being unnormal to be able to do that, and then they force them, and then society forces them to to shave their beard, to go through
Well,
electrolysis, to do all of the things because society made
did
fun
anyone
of
force
them
you
so
to do
much.
electrolysis?
No, I gotta
Uh,
cut in here. Is this, excuse me, caller, is this Ben Thorpe?
Yes.
Okay, never call us back again,
You're a
you
child
sick fuck.
abuser.
oh God. Okay.
He was arrested for
Thank you.
kicking his daughter on stream. He's an awful person. No,
Wow.
never call our show
I'm
again.
shocked that he admitted to who he was. That's crazy.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much. This is why we have producers, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Because there was no way for me to be able to get through and understand who that person was.
No, that was crazy.
Wow.
And he calls trans people trolls.
Wow. My blood was boiling because I've never had somebody just straight up just continually make me the example of the good one.
Yeah,
I'm one of the good
that's
ones.
obnoxious.
I'm one of the good ones. And I know he wasn't saying that exact word, but he kept on insinuating it. Like, I'm okay. I'm one of the okay type of trans people. I'm one
Yeah.
of the ones that put the attempt in the pass. It's like you don't fucking know me. Like, it's like you don't fucking know me. I am just a person who likes to look this way. I don't give a fuck what other people think about it at the end of the day. I just do it because it makes me feel good. I like looking in the mirror and having the way that I look. Like, just like any other person, just like fucking Jonathan Van Ness, who wears a beard and has a dress, looks in the mirror and says, I'm fabulous, and walks out the door. And that is fucking cool too. I fucking love that. I love that JVN has the freaking courage and ability to do that every day. I think it's fucking badass. And it's like, to think that people like that are just like, oh, they're doing it to be subversive. No, this isn't like somebody getting a tattoo across their face. This is different. This is not the same thing. Like, it's even people who get tattoos on their face are fine too. I know a girl who's amazing who's got like baby across her eyebrow and like freaking like another one that says girl right here. It's fucking great. I like, she's a friend of mine. It's like, oh my God. Oh my
That's
God.
crazy. I can't imagine I guess I just think it's incredible that when called out, like, you have a Googleable name, we are able to Google you, and there's video of you abusing your child, physically abusing your child on camera, and you got arrested for it. And for you to just I guess props for being proud of the shithead that you are. Like, congratulations on having no shame for being an awful fucking parent. I hope that none of his children ever speak to him again.
Oh my God. Oh my God. It's really interesting because he has a very good ability to get under people's skin in a very specific way.
Yeah.
Like, it just makes my skin crawl a little bit. Like, he can just get under your skin in a very it you know he's a horrible human being, but he does have a skill that is very scary, and I don't like it. It makes me feel bad.
Yeah.
I don't like
and
it.
he's still there listening. He's in the chat. Ben, you're a piece of fucking shit. I hope all bad things happen to you for the rest of your life. You're a terrible person. Get the fuck out of this community. Thank you.
God, what? Well, and whoever is watching his stream right now, also fuck you too.
Yeah,
Like,
legitimately.
yeah, like, yeah. Anyways. Huh,
That was
okay.
crazy.
All right. Where's the palate cleanser? Just like and subscribe.
Hit the like button. It's
Yes.
free.
It's free, and also, if you like spicy Josie and Lux, like, this is the way to do it. It's like and subscribe. Call in if you are, and please don't call in if you beat your children. Don't do that. Like, I'm okay with not ever talking to you or knowing you exist. Like,
Yeah, we're good. We're
let's
fine
not
with
do
that.
that. Not do that, please. Let's not do that.
We do still have open lines for oppositional callers. If you are not a shithead, but you want to have some differing opinions, if you also think that it's weird to be trans, but you don't beat your children, then consider calling in at 720-619-2288. If you're outside the US, you can use the web caller. If you call from within the US on the web caller, we will not let you get through. So yeah, thanks everybody for hanging out.
It's worth noting that he tried to
shook.
use the web caller first. I'm actually surprised he called in with a number.
That's
I
surprising.
banned him last time he called, so I don't know if we had that same policy in effect or if he has like multiple numbers. Don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
God.
What a
Okay.
jerk.
So let's take them how we got them right in the
Yeah,
front.
sure,
Let's
that
go
sounds
with the
good.
first one. We're gonna go with Rachel, she, her from Alabama. You are live on the line with Josie and Lux. What do you like to talk to us about?
Howdy. Joven,
Hi.
I, howdy. I talked with Joven a little bit ago, or a couple days ago, and he suggested that I call in here. Main
Yeah.
thing is, I wanted to specifically talk about. Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yeah.
can hear you fine. Thank you.
I wanted to specifically talk about coming to terms with gender identity and dealing with the fear of, well, society and all these different organizations that are, trying to push for our genocide.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's tough. And
Like,
you're asking a very broad question, right? I know you're in
yeah,
Alabama, which is a tough place to be currently right
yeah.
now. And so
I'm
you're specifically asking how to deal with that? Is that what you're asking? With just the
how
the blatant transphobia that we deal with as trans people on a daily basis?
how to deal with that, but also coming to terms with gender identity and where to go from here, starting with it. Like, I'm still in the closet. My family, they're QAnoners, so you know, so
Yeah.
like from a perspective of someone where it's not safe to start transitioning, where would the best place to go from here?
Okay. And just for my clarification, have you started your transition, or is this something you're still considering?
I want to, but I have not done anything besides going by a different name online.
Okay. That's fine. Nah, well, thank you for taking the time to call in. I know this is a very scary time. It's just in the world, but also in your own personal place of where you are. So,
Yes.
thanks for calling in, and I applaud your courage of being able to say, you know what, I've had it. Even with everything that is going on, I'm
Mhm.
still going to make this happen. I will say this, that studies show, and I'm an author on a study, which is the U.S. Trans Survey,
Mhm.
and the Health and Wellbeing Report. Um, no matter, like, what we studied and what we surveyed out of 92,000 respondents across the United States is, regardless of how bad things are, trans people are overall 97% more satisfied with their lives, or somewhat satisfied. People who go through gender affirming care are 89, or sorry, 98% more likely to be satisfied or somewhat satisfied. And people who go through surgical care also at 98% more satisfied. But overall, it's 97% for folks who don't even get any type of gender affirming care. And that is despite the fact that in that same report, it still shows high levels of harassment. It still shows high levels of discrimination with medical care and housing.
Yes.
It still shows an extraordinary amount of mental health needs and support. But yet we are still more satisfied with life when we live our true selves. So through our studies, we know that it is ultimately a good thing for our mental health and our well-being to be able, and our life satisfaction, to live our truth and be who we are. Um, I will say this for you as well. Um,
Mhm.
you do live in a place that may be a little bit harder to deal with, and posits a higher level of vigilancy on your part to keep your head on a swivel to make sure that you're safe, right? Because ultimately your safety is incredibly important. And I will say this as, you know, trans girl to another, like, I'm not going to tell you to do what you feel that you need to do. Like, you are going to
Mhm.
ultimately make that choice. I can just say, as someone who came out the other side, that I'm happy that I made this choice. And it is easier as you go through it. At first, it's really
Mhm.
hard. I think everybody's first 7 months to a year is probably one of the most difficult when you're starting your transition. And then once you are able to kind of feel more comfortable in your own skin, as if you are taking medical treatment, like, you see the effects more clearly, you just feel better. That's something that I experience
Mhm.
personally. Um, it will get better over time. It's just that first hurdle kind of sucks, because you're going
Yeah.
through puberty, right? You're having to go through puberty again, and that's never a comfortable feeling.
Yeah.
So I know I just spoke a lot at you, and
Yeah.
I can also be motivational, Josie, if you want, where I can, like, tell
Mhm.
you, like, my thoughts behind, like, community resilience and things like that. But
Yeah.
I would love to hear your thoughts in response to everything that I just said.
I agree with you. I'd say the main fears I have with it. I mean, besides, well, I'd say my main fear is my family, disowning me and stuff like that. And you have all these different groups now, like the federal government, like how they're passing all these laws against us. You have groups like, Patriot Front and all them out there. Just there's a lot of people that are against us. I'm scared to start, going through the process, doing everything because just so many people are against us. Like I
Yeah.
know I mean, I've suffered with gender dysphoria as early as I can remember before I really understood what it meant. And, I've been suffering with it for a very long time. And I you know what I mean?
Yes, I do. I definitely do. And I feel a lot of kinship with you. You know,
Mhm.
I was in the military. I didn't transition till I was 34 years old. My first moment of me understanding myself of wishing to want to be a girl was as early as 8 years old, probably sooner. And it is an incredibly difficult thing. And I will say one of the biggest hurdles that you've already passed is the fact that, you come out to yourself. Coming out to yourself is probably one of the hardest parts, at least in rural areas, or at least in red states like myself. I was from Texas. Coming out to yourself and overcoming
Mhm.
your own internalized transphobia is one of the biggest hurdles that need to be passed, and you did that. And congratulations to you, because knowing is a lot better feeling than unknowing and being unsure. And now you're moving on with the step of, how do you now live with the information and what is going to make you happy as a person. I will say that
Mhm.
most of the time you're going to be fine. I will say that data shows that even in the worst case scenarios in American history, you're most likely going to be fine. Will you be discriminated against? Probably. Everyone is. Everyone is. Will you be looked at and called weird by people that we just had on the call before? Yeah, most definitely. We all are. And it's just being able to live with that reality, and then eventually you become your ultimately true self and who you are, and that's how we build resilience. And when we think about resilience as a community, resilience doesn't mean invincibility. Resilience means you
Yeah.
can take a punch and keep moving forward. That's what that means, and that takes a long time to build. So a lot of us aren't resilient right out of the gate. Sometimes we take a punch and we have to go down for a little bit and be like, okay, I need to recover. I need to take a moment to myself, and that's okay, and that's fine. But getting up and doing it again, eventually it just becomes water off a duck's back, and you just become who you are. And
Yeah.
one day you're just gonna walk out in the world and everybody's gonna be gendering you right and being like, yeah, girl, like, slay queen, like, you got this, right? It takes time. It takes time.
Hmm.
And that is probably the hardest thing. Man, I'm doing some deep cuts in my own transition. It's like, if the transition mascot, when you're in active transition, should be a snail, because it feels so slow. But the shell that you live in is your refuge, it's your home. It's what you find your sanctuary, because whenever you can just retreat into your shell, and then when you feel comfortable, you just keep going and move across and and start moving past the finish line. But once you're there, like, you almost forget that the journey was hard, because I don't even think about
Yeah.
my journey very often, and my 6-year trans anniversary will be next month. So for me, it's like I look at it now as it was a tough journey, but it was a worthy one, and I will never take it back for the world. But I talked a lot. Lux, do you have anything to add? And then I would love to hear what Rachel has to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's all just like calculations that you have to make for yourself of whether it's going
Hmm.
to be worth it. That I think that for most people, we feel like it's worth it, even though being trans
Yeah.
openly creates trials and tribulations in our lives. Like, you're kind of making a choice between, that you're trans already. So the choice is like to compartmentalize
Hmm.
that, to put it away somewhere, and to like do your best to live your life without that. And it may become more painful later. Like, that's not a complication free lifestyle on its own. It does create other complications to come out as trans. In particular, like, sometimes we have to accept that we are going to have to let some of our family members go, or accept that it might be harder to find a life partner, or that we might not be able to stay in the place where we were born. Like, I was born in Kansas and I moved away in large part because it's a Republican state and they were passing anti-trans laws and it's not safe for me to be there. So even though I
Yeah.
loved where I was from, and like I was actually from a blue part of Kansas, that wasn't enough to combat the overall like realistic safety issues and the like emotional safety of like knowing that there are so many people around me who disapprove of the person that I am. And so I
Hmm.
moved because it like needed to happen, and I'm happier now. I'm not like 100%. I still feel like it sucks to be in America, but it's better. Um, and I have never regretted coming out as trans, even though it has created issues in my life, even though there are like still things that I know will be
Yeah.
trials in the future. Like, surgery is scary, but I know that I'm going to be upset if I die without it. And it might create other complications in my life. Like, is this going to impact my ability to have kids and all this kind of other questions? So, either way
Yeah.
you pick, it's gonna be some level of complicated. You like the cat's out of the bag. You already know that you're trans. So all you can really do from this point is decide how to move forward with that. And, there are going to probably be a lot of little choices and a lot of big choices either way you go.
Yeah. Where do you suggest starting at? Just starting off with.
I mean,
Well,
you're
I know
you're
small
starting off
things at a
simple.
time.
Like,
yeah.
starting off simple with like using the pronouns and the name in small safe places where you are
Yeah.
sure that you're going to be fine, like doing this online, seeking out community, whether that's online or locally. There has to be an LGBTQ center somewhere in the state of Alabama. Like whether it's on a college campus or at like a clinic or something. I at one point was going to a trans group therapy that was at the sliding scale clinic that I was receiving mental health services at. So finding people to talk to, and if you want to try little things like little forms of gender expression, like just go a while without getting a haircut and see how that goes, see how that affects the relationships that you have, or, get your ears pierced, little things that will kind of help you test the boundaries in terms of like, let me see what I can do that's going to be acceptable to the people around me, and try to like find those kind of limitations and see whether it makes you happy. Like, I don't know, maybe you're going to be the kind of trans girl who works on cars and has dirty fingernails, like, or maybe you'll decide you want to be a wear spinny dresses kind of trans girl, so that's kind of where I would start as far as like kind of slowly getting into it. I don't know, what do you think,
Yeah.
Josie?
Yeah. I would start with the things that give you euphoria. Right. And what I mean by that are the things that bring you little joys, right? When I first started coming out, it was actually really simple. It was shaving my legs. Like that was probably one of the first moments that I actually had that I was just like, wow, that is awesome. Like it was, it's hard to put words to how great that was. And then, there's a website called ThreadUp. It's an app on your
Greta?
phone. Thread up, like the threads, like a thread up, like the
Thread
direction.
up?
Yes, yes.
Alright.
It's an app, and it's a consignment like thrift store online. You can get really good deals. And you can get really cheap stuff, and it's a really good way to start experimenting with wardrobe choices. And then at that moment, you can start wearing outfits that you like around the house. I didn't really go out for the first time by myself, probably about 3 or 4 months into my transition. And luckily it was COVID too. So I like masked up to the nines. And so for me, that's how I kind of went out as a person. And so trying to figure out what fits you, like, figuring out what type of outfits. I will say your best friend is an A-line dress. Start with A-line dresses. Those are like, or they called skater dresses. Like, try those dresses first because those are like probably the most flattering. At least for me it was, but for most women, A-line skirts, especially trans women starting their transition, A-line skirts are the way, or A-line dresses, not skirts. Oh, I mean, you could do skirts, it's fine. But those type of things will help you kind of like feel confident in your own body. Makeup
Yeah.
tutorials, if you want to wear makeup, get some, you don't have to get like expensive makeup, just like order like elf, makeup.
Elf
You
is
don't have
good.
elf
Learn how
is
to
great.
contour.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's all different things. Like I used to put on tons of makeup when I look at my early transition photos, I cringe because I just caked my face with so much makeup. But that's what a lot of trans women do is they overcompensate where they don't really need to, and then eventually it just becomes whatever you feel comfortable doing. I know a lot of trans women that still are like makeup queens and they wear it so well, and I'm just like super jealous. And then there are some women that don't wear makeup at all and they look great too. And so just
Yeah.
trying to figure out what your style is, I think, is really helpful. And also start finding a doctor or an endocrinologist that you can trust, that you can actually start talking about your medical transition if you so choose that do so. And just,
If I want to.
if you yeah, and if you start doing that, then, as your body starts to, essentially, react to the hormonal changes in your body, like the dresses are going to fit better and it's going to make you even feel better. Like I still have this dress right now. It's like a jersey knit. I don't know what it was, but it was like a dress that I still have. It's like more of a shirt dress now. And I still wear it, but I look at old photos of me in that dress and I look at myself now in that dress and I'm like, damn, I changed so much. And I love it. It makes me feel good, right? So
Yeah.
part of that transition can bring you joy, right? Like I actually measured my feet, right? And then I started to see my feet shrink because feet
Mhm.
shrink. Like it's very interesting, but they do. Not by a lot for everybody, but you know, the muscles in your feet do turn slender and your feet shrink a little bit. So you know, find your ways that you like to find the joy that of like that there is progress, I think is also very helpful too. But anyways, I just said a ton of things on where to
Yeah.
start. But I'm just reminiscing about my own
Yeah.
transition.
I did
All right.
have someone called specifically to make this recommendation to you, Rachel. In Birmingham, in downtown Birmingham, Alabama, there's a place called
Oh.
Magic City Wellness Center, and
Mhm.
apparently that's the place to go if you want to start your transition. And maybe they'll have counseling services and stuff like that as well, which could be useful. I know for
Support groups.
yeah, and I don't think that it's necessary to do therapy,
Do
but
it.
if you're still in that, like, how to cope with it, how to conclude, like, what direction you want to go, like, having a counselor can help. So, Magic City Wellness Center in Birmingham, I would check them out.
3-hour drive, but I'll think
Oof.
about it.
Listen, I did the
Unless
same.
there's one
I
in
did the same.
Huntsville.
I lived in Kansas City and I drove to Wichita, 3 hours away when I first got hormone care. So, like, I know it's a big
Mhm.
fucking inconvenience, but like, you're living the
Yeah.
you're living the dream. Like, you're doing the journey exactly the way that your predecessors have.
Yeah. All right. I'll
Yeah.
check it out.
Yeah,
Oh, and
Yeah.
one more thing
Good
before.
luck.
Sorry.
No,
No,
go
you
for
go
it.
ahead.
go for it.
No, no, please. I was just
Uh,
saying, yeah, nonsense. Go ahead.
yeah. I was gonna say, like, one more thing, before I let you go, unless you have any more questions or anything. Um, Someone suggested that I try doing DIY HRT or buying it from someone who does DIY, and it seemed kind of sketchy, but I
If
don't
you can
know.
get it through a doctor, get it through a doctor.
Yeah. Yeah.
DIY should be your last resort.
Yeah.
It really shouldn't be your first resort. Like doctor prescribed informed gender affirming care is the gold standard, and it also guarantees that the medication that you get is exactly what you need it to be. So only use it if it's a last resort.
And I will say too, check with Magic City Wellness Center to see if they have any telehealth
Yeah.
options. Because for most of this kind of care, you don't need to come into the office except when you do
Yeah.
labs, which you will need to do labs. That's the one big distinction between doing DIY versus going through a clinic is that the clinic
Hmm.
will give you a schedule of like, okay, we're going to test your hormones now and we're going to test them in 3 months and we're going to test them again in 3 months after that to check and make sure that you are on track. And if you're doing that
Yeah.
solo, then you have to find a Quest clinic that will do that for you. And it's a lot of the time much more expensive. So, yeah, if you can do telehealth, you just need to talk to somebody. Sometimes you can even do therapy over telehealth, and then you don't have to do that 3-hour drive.
That's right. And
Yeah.
and when you do telehealth, you still have to do your blood work and stuff too. Don't
Yeah.
forget, blood work is very important in these processes. And you
Yeah.
may want to get your blood work done right before you go to the doctor so they can treat you faster. If you're going to do a 3-hour drive, you should ask the clinic if you're going to that clinic, hey, what kind of blood test should I get before I go there so they can already have a
Yeah.
baseline and start you on your medication before you even right away.
Hmm.
Hmm. All righty.
Okay?
I'll. Yeah.
You got this,
I'll
girl. You got
certainly
it.
check it out. All right.
You,
Hope both of you have a good
you,
day.
yeah, you too.
Yeah.
All
Good
right.
luck.
Much love. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You know,
I
it's
think we
those type of
should.
calls. Those type
Yeah,
of
go ahead.
calls make me very happy because like it proves that no anti-trans narrative is going to stop us from being who we are.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Every corner of the United States, there are trans people out there saying, "What can I do to get my transition started?" Like it, and that's it. Just proves the study right. right? Regardless of what is happening in the world, people are still coming out. Like the second that transgender people are allowed back in military service, guess what's going to happen? All the people who are in service right now in the closet are just going to go boop. I've always been here.
Yeah.
Like there's just no way to restrict us from public life. There's just no way you can do it. We are already there. We're in the walls. Like you can't get rid of us. We've been here from the beginning of time, and we will continue to be here for the rest of time. Nothing can eliminate us. It's just how it works. You know, when people are feeling down, just remember there are still people transitioning every day, going through the process of what we go through every day. So Rachel, thank you for calling. You're awesome. You're a legend. You just keep doing what you're gonna do, and please call us back when you have an opportunity, like, and tell us how it's going. I really want to know more.
Yeah.
All right, Lex, go ahead and do what you're gonna say.
Oh, I was just going to remind everybody that we do a little fun thing at the end of this show where after the super chats are done, we take your votes through super chats. If you get $5 or more in your super chat, we read those and you get a vote to either vote for hashtag Team Lux or hashtag Team Josie. Whoever loses that vote has to defend a funny position. And that's in the chat right now. You get to vote on what position the hashtag loser of the super chat game has to defend. Right now, our options there are: number one, mandated advanced bio for TERFs. TERFs required to take advanced bio. State-funded queer brunch, or Dem primaries are decided by a voguing tournament. So those are the ones in there. If you don't have $5 for a super chat, no worries. Please hit like on the show because it's quick, it's easy, it's free. It immediately brings more people into the show. And don't forget that after this show, I will be on again doing double duty today with Jimmy on Calling It Now. So if you just stick around in the chat, a little thing will pop up that says, hey, go now to the Jimmy Snow channel. And so we're going to be heckling the MAGA people today. So yeah. We've also got a couple people in the call-in queue. I didn't know if maybe Arden wanted us to wait to see if any of those are oppositional before we take one of the advice calls, or if we could just go ahead and take one of these advice calls.
You can go ahead and take one of the advice calls so I can have a chance to screen, because like 5 just popped up all at once.
I know.
Yes.
I saw that.
Yes.
Are
We
you
are at
screening
our limit
too,
on
Arden?
advice calls today, though. Yeah,
Yeah.
we only have a screener for 1 hour, and then the producer has to screen.
Oh wow.
I know.
Yeah.
So much work.
So whose
Zug.
fault? So it was Arden's fault to even let Ben through. Is that
No,
what we're
no,
saying?
that was Jess.
Oh, okay. All right.
Sometimes we let the shitheads through because we suspect maybe they're the shithead, but we're not sure, and we want to see if we can get a good clip out of it. So, you know.
Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and go down the list. We'll just go with Chastity. She, her pronouns in South Carolina. You are live on the line with Lux and Josie. What do you want to talk about?
Hey, first off, thank you very much for taking my call. I love you guys. Can I do a quick grind your gears thing real quick? It'll be fast.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so one of the calls before, like you guys were talking about the men in dresses. I get so many people, and it annoys me so much. Just because you wear dresses and you look like a guy does not mean that you're trans. I have so many cross-dresser friends that are like, I am not trans.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let people wear clothes.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, you wanted to call asking about bathroom bans. So lay it on us. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah. So I've been on HRT for about 2 years, a little bit over. So I'm kind of getting to the point to where I'm like in between. So it doesn't matter which bathroom I go into. I'm getting the dirty looks at. And now they're starting to bring like the bounty people or whatever. And I was just wondering if you guys had any advice on that. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I mean, do your business fast. Wear a mask. That'll reduce the number of people who bother you.
I get a therapy for hyper anxiety. So
yeah.
I'm sorry, didn't interrupt.
No, it's okay. And you know, it's tough. it's one of those situations where it's kind of like you have to keep your head on a swivel and just make sure, it's I don't want to tell you to do something that's going to put you in harm's way. I will say that most people really don't care. It's just like there's only like a very select few people who are like transphobic as hell and are out there looking for folks. Um, but honestly, go where you're safe. If there is a gender neutral bathroom, family bathroom in like very highly public places, then maybe yeah, do that. Um, or just yeah, it's tough. You like I want you to be safe and it's a really tough thing. I
Yeah,
don't know if
that's what
that
I usually
helps.
do. I use the family bathrooms if they're around, but they're not
Yeah.
obviously always there. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, my
Um
legitimate advice is, and this is for everybody, regardless of the situation, wear an N95 anytime you're in public. COVID is still killing people and disabling people at an alarming rate. And also, it will conveniently take away some of the features that cause people to
Mm.
question your gender. So if you have long hair and if you have breasts budding and you're wearing a dress, but your face is covered and you don't talk to anybody, well, there you go. That's going to make it like at least a small factor easier to navigate the bathroom situation. I don't know if you've tried that. I would recommend at least trying it out a little bit, if even if you don't have a value
Yeah,
of
no, I
not
haven't.
becoming disabled by COVID.
Okay. All right. Well,
yeah.
I really, really appreciate it. That was pretty
As
much
for
it.
how to
I'm
manage your
sorry it's an
anxiety,
advice
I don't know.
call.
I can't really help with that per se. All I give is practical. I'm like, here's a way that you can avoid this issue. You're going to be anxious, I think, regardless. But this is okay. Here's the therapy approach to anxiety. Do the thing that makes you anxious a bunch. And
Right.
the more times you
Right.
do it and don't get a negative consequence, you're teaching your brain that it's not actually dangerous. But if you keep doing it and you keep getting harassed, then you're not going to successfully teach yourself that it's not dangerous. So just trying to mitigate the situations in which somebody's going to talk to you is like the way to kind of control for that exposure. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I like the mask idea. I don't know why I didn't think of it, but yeah.
There you go.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Thanks,
stay
Dusty.
safe out there, okay?
Absolutely. You too.
All right. All right. Talk to you
Have a
later.
great
Bye.
day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Great. So, let's go on. Let's see. Looks like
We
there's
just got
something
one in
here.
that looks interesting.
34-1. Is that the
Yeah.
one? Yeah. Okay. We will go with Talia. I think Talia. I apologize if I mispronounced your name. She, her pronouns from England. You are live on the line with Lux and Josie. How are you?
Perhaps Talia. Hello.
Talia?
Hi,
Is it Talia?
yeah, yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, thanks. How are you?
Doing good.
How do we pronounce your name
Uh,
so that we can do it right?
Talia.
Talia. Okay, perfect.
Thank
Beautiful.
you.
Well, what's your question
I
today?
mean, most people get it right. It's kind of like there may be slight nuances, but I'm not that fast, really.
Yeah, for sure. So what do you want to talk to us about?
Well, I want to talk about like, I mean, like there are people like GC people who call us men who feel like women, and how do I kind of like, I don't know whether prove or explain or whatever that I'm a woman and not a man who feels like a woman.
Oh, I see. Um,
Yeah,
w-
that's
we
kind of
we
like the question or
y-
discussion or, you know.
yeah, for sure. We've had many people call in the show asking the same thing, and I get very frustrated with them because it's not a
Oh,
feeling, you just
okay.
are, right? Like if you are a woman, then you're a woman. There's no feeling to it.
Yeah, I know that. I mean, I know I'm a woman, but like, how do I mean, okay, with the strangers, I'm generally not that bothered because, I mean, they just that just means that it's someone who I don't really wish to be associated with. But like, well, my parents say things like, "You are our son, and we'll always love you."
Yeah, and I'm sorry. That's hard. At least you still get the "I will always love you," where my dad said he has a dead son. So,
I know,
you
I
know,
know that.
yeah.
Yikes.
I know that
Yeah.
many are not as lucky.
Yeah, no, it is very unfortunate, and I'm sorry that you are dealing with that. Essentially, usually what I do if somebody asks me what does it feel like to be a woman, I usually ask them what does it feel like to be a man. In fact, I
Because
think
it's
there was a
always a
show.
man asking you.
Yeah. It usually is. But if it is a woman, you can ask the same thing, right? Like there is no feeling that they could point to, right? And usually they'll be like, "Well, I asked you first," and it's like, "Well, demonstrate it to me." Like that's what I usually say, right? Can you demonstrate to me an example? Because I don't understand what you mean by what it feel like to be a woman. So can you explain to me what it feels like to be a man? And then I can maybe try to identify that with the same way. Right, because a lot of times when you ask the question in that way for folks, they get very either defensive or they try to skirt it away because when you ask the question back at them, and then you ask in good faith, you're like, look, I just don't understand what you want me to say, so can you please demonstrate it what it looks like for you to feel like a man, and then maybe I can follow suit. I had a funny call, I think it was the last call that I did with Forrest. There was a person that kept on trying to say that, and I pushed it back on him, and he kept avoiding the question because he just didn't understand how to answer the question, and he thought it was very
Yeah, I think I
unfair of
remember
me to
that
ask
one.
the question. But go ahead.
Yeah, I said, yeah, I think I remember that call vaguely, but yeah, it
Yeah.
was fairly recently.
Yes,
Mm.
it was. It was fairly recent. And so a lot of times they're trying to get you in this weird gotcha because they're asking you an impossible question. Because there is no
Mm,
way to answer that question because it's an impossibility, right? It is you are just a person. There is no feeling like a person. Like as you are
mm,
a person. And so that's kind of the way we have to disarm the premise, right? Because they are trying to posit when they ask you that question that you are trying to say, because it's a trap question, right? Because the question is
mm,
trying to get you to buy into the premise that your understanding of womanhood is a feeling and not an innate trait of who you are. So if you try
mm,
to answer their question of what it feels like to be a woman, you are falling into the trap of the fact that
mm, mm,
you're trying to agree with the premise that womanhood is a feeling, it isn't a state of being. And that's why it's important for you to turn the question on its head and ask them, I've been asked this question before and I really don't understand what it means. Can you give me a good example of what it feels like to be whatever gender that the person you're talking to is?
yeah,
Right? Because
I guess that's a good, like, yes, uh, but yes, I mean, like, and I mean, and I do have moments, although a bit more earlier during, well,
say again. Are you there? Wake up your phone. Your phone may be asleep.
oh, can you, is that
Yeah, I can hear
better?
you
Yeah, you're
now.
back.
Yes. Yes.
All right. I thought that it would continue working while my phone was asleep. Yeah, it did. It was
Yes.
asleep, but I assumed that it would just work. Uh,
Yeah, no
that
worries.
at times I would feel like a fraud, kind of, but but I have heard from, I've got several trans friends, mainly trans women, but also trans men and non-binary trans mascot and trans femme. But yeah, and so talking to them, I know that feeling like a fraud is something that many trans people go through. But yeah, my egg cracking moment was like fairly recently. It was in the near the beginning of year 22 when I was already 49, and yeah, I mean. And of course, you all know that cliche that if you didn't know then, what's changed now? But there was a moment, and I just knew from that moment on that I was a woman. It's kind of like, to me, it's kind of like rebirth, and in a way, the most important moment of my life, really. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But I hope that helps.
I would also say that,
Yeah.
like, to some extent, if it doesn't impact you directly, work towards some level of radical acceptance that people are not going to necessarily understand or be convinced by anything you say. Like, we use this phrase in the
Oh, yeah.
skeptic community, you can't reason people out of a position they didn't reason themselves into. Most people who are anti-trans or who have this belief that, like, you know, oh, you're just a man who thinks he's a woman, like, they did not logically end up there. So, and I think that this kind of reflects the way that Josie often approaches these conversations, where she just avoids doing a logical conversation and starts to talk about, like, well, this is my human experience. I didn't have a choice about how I feel. So even if you want to reduce it down and make it seem frivolous, that it's about how I feel, well, then people still deserve empathy from that perspective. So I would say, like, if it's people who are close to you and who matter to you, then elicit that feeling of, like, connection of, like, well, I want to have a loving relationship with you, and it's not possible for me to have a loving relationship with you if you are putting my identity under scrutiny in this way. And can we just move on from this and, like, have some basic level of respect? I don't need you to inherently believe that I am inherently a woman or something, so long as we are able to move forward with love and respect. If there is, like, you know, a random person who's just trying to give you shit, they are getting some kind of psychological thrill off of giving you shit and getting a reaction.
Yeah.
Many of these people are not looking to be convinced. And I honestly don't even think they're trying to convince you that you're not trans or that you're not really a woman. I think that they are just getting some kind of kicks out of it and it's amusement for them. And you are under no obligation to entertain someone else's amusements of objectifying your gender in that way. So maybe
Yeah.
it's a multifaceted thing where you're like, I'm gonna, I'm gonna strategize how to have this conversation, and maybe I'll come up with a couple of different lines of attack for how I'm gonna respond to this. But also, you don't have to do that. Like, it is not incumbent upon you to try to get people to understand. You don't have to be an activist or a spokesperson for trans people. You just have to live well, be a good person, and show that being trans is not incongruent with being a strong member of your community, and somebody who is there for other people and somebody who shows up when someone else is in need. I think all of those things are much more important than spending time honing your arguments. I say, as a person who spends all my time honing my arguments, but we need all different folks, is what I'm trying to say.
Yep.
Yeah, generally I do ignore randos who like you said, who are just getting kicks out of it. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
a year ago or so, there was someone whom I considered friend, but then he started talking in that way. So, and eventually I just stopped talking to him. I didn't block him. I just didn't say anything anymore, and he didn't seem to say anything either, and just like that. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he was well, like he kind of didn't, and his things were something like, "But you are not really a woman, are you?" And like, or then he started with his transracial argument, but we won't go
Yeah, of
into that.
course.
You've
Yeah.
explained it to a great length in one of shows. Was a few months ago, and you explained it really well then. So we don't need to go into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
um,
Well, thank you.
but yes, for
Yeah.
me, like I mean, in some ways, could say that the most difficult part was recognizing who I am, but that's probably just because it took me 49 years. Maybe because of how I was brought up and how I was brainwashed or whatever. But though at the moment, when the realization came, I just accepted it. I knew I was a woman, and it kind of like felt like I finally uh, well, knew who I was, at least somewhat, because it was time then to get to know myself. But I just accepted it as
Yeah.
truth. I just knew, and I accepted it. It was, but then really, what felt the most difficult was then to come out for me.
Yeah, of course.
Because I mean, it did cost me my marriage too. But yeah,
Yeah.
I did then. That same year, 22, we got separated. I socially transitioned, and I was a lot happier since,
Of
even though
course.
I was sad in my marriage. But yeah,
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing your story with us. We really appreciate you. But yeah, thanks for calling. Okay.
that's all right. Thank you for you
Thank
have given me some good pointers. Yeah.
Great.
And
Awesome.
it was fun chatting with you. That was the first time
Yeah.
I did a call. I was considering calling before, but kind of like, I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, we're glad you called. We really appreciate the time with you today. Okay?
Okay. Oh, thank you.
Yes.
And I'm
Yeah.
glad I
All
called
right.
too.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye.
Good luck out there. Bye
Bye.
And good
bye.
luck. Stay safe. All right. I'm thinking we should go with 39.3.
Yep.
So we're on the same wavelength. Hello, we have Cortez, he, him from New Jersey. You are live on the line with Josie and Luxander. You want to talk about how you recognize your natural body? Tell us about it.
I have a natural body. I have a biology to my body that makes me male. So when it comes down to, I think y'all talking point about how other people can manipulate or change things about their body. That's cool. I don't think no one on my side of this opinion is saying to another person that you can't change things about your body. I think more of our argument and more of my argument is that you can say something, but that doesn't make it true. And at the same time, you are free to do that, but I do not have to entertain, or you don't have to entertain me, but I don't have to entertain a fact that you describe about your own body that I know is not true.
Okay, so I'm not talking about bodies, I'm talking about gender most of the time. So, do you believe that there's a difference between sex and gender?
For me, I describe gender as someone's opinions about their own body. Sex is the only thing that we physically have when we look in the mirror. Our bodies. That's it.
Okay, I get what you're saying, but your question had the word your answer had the word body in it with gender. So do you find a difference between sex and gender? Is there a difference between the two?
Yes. One is
Okay,
opinion, one is a physical thing that I have. I was born
okay,
with.
okay. So is it an opinion that you're a man?
No, it's because of my body.
Okay, so it's not an opinion.
It's my physical sex of my body.
So,
It's
well,
my
no, I'm not talking about
biology
your
of my
sex.
body.
I'm not talking about your sex, Cortez. So, for me, you gave me the definition that gender is an opinion. So, the fact that you are a man is your opinion, correct?
No,
Then what is gender then?
like I said, it's an opinion.
Okay, so what is your gender?
My I don't have a gender. I have a physical sex of my body. I have a
So
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 you're not a
biology.
man?
so you're not a man.
Yes, I am because of my
Okay,
body.
okay, so there is no difference between sex and gender to you.
No,
So there isn't
not
a
really.
difference. Okay, so that's why I asked the question, Cortez, because for us to have a conversation, we got to understand what the definitions are. Because first you told me that gender is an opinion. Then when I said your gender is man, so therefore your opinion, you disagreed with that. So now you are saying so I'm going to ask the question again just so we're crystal clear so we can have this conversation. Is there a
All
difference
right.
between sex and gender?
No, not in my opinion.
Okay. There isn't. Okay, cool. So if you believe that there isn't a sex and gender, do you have sex with somebody or do you have gender with somebody or are they the same?
I have sex with someone.
Okay, so I can't say you have gender with someone?
No,
Why? It's the same.
because it's not to me.
No, you just said that sex and gender are the same. So why can I not
I
use those words
understand.
interchangeably?
I understand what you're saying, but practically, I mean, everyday knowledge when I speak with people, if I say I'm having sex with someone, that's what I would say. I wouldn't talk
Okay.
about
So
gender.
why is
Y'all,
there a word gender then? What why if sex and gender are the same and you can't use gender in a sentence the way that I used it, then what is gender to the society then? And why do we even
you're
need the
talking
word
about
at
my.
all? No,
Are
I'm
you talking
asking
about?
in society there
Hmm?
is a concept called gender. So what is society saying gender is then? Not what you think, but if there's a difference between the
Stereotypes,
two words, what is it? Societally.
stereotypes, behaviors, and actions of decisions that men and females make.
Okay, you're getting a little closer. Or at least we're not saying it's an opinion anymore. Okay, so in reality, so there is a difference between sex and gender. Then, correct?
Not to me.
Okay, so not to you. Okay, cool. Let's go to there. Let's go that way. All right. If somebody believes that cars don't exist, does that mean that cars don't exist?
No.
Okay, so but I don't care. I don't believe cars exist. Not to me.
Okay, that's fine. But if you get run
Okay,
over,
so
I mean, that's your fault.
Can
okay,
I
so
I
there.
would
Hold
like
on.
to
Let me get one more point in, Lux, and I'll let you in. So Cortez, do you understand how absurd it is for you to say not to me, but the rest of the society does see gender as an actual thing?
I disagree with you.
Well, you just said if I don't believe cars exist and I get run over by a car, it's my fault. So if you don't believe gender is and you get run over by the gender, that's your fault, right? Not mine.
Gender is only someone's opinions. That's it. And
And
stereotypes. That's all it is.
oh, go ahead, Lux. You can
Okay,
take
so
take a crack. I'll
I
go
want to try
next.
to dig down on something because I think earlier you just said so when Josie was saying like sex is the thing that you do with someone and therefore what is gender, Cortez? You said gender is like how you behave and and other things like that. But then you are also saying gender is just what your body is. So can you like maybe pick one?
I'm saying I have a physical body. I'm
So do
saying when
I.
y'all use
Holy
So do
fucking
I. We
shit.
do
when
too.
y'all
We both have physical bodies.
when y'all
This is why we think you're drunk or
when
high
y'all
every time you call, because you say
no,
dumb, obvious things every time and you're slurring.
I'm trying to articulate it. I have
I
a
just
speech
just real
impairment.
quick
I
before we
am
continue this
a
conversation, Cortez, I
disabled
really need to ask
person.
you a question and I really need the answer. Do you have a speech impediment? Is me telling you sound
Yes,
drunk ableist because you actually have a
Yeah,
speech
yeah,
impediment?
I would probably
yes, I
suggest.
do.
It's just
I
that
have
every
a
time he
speech
calls, he
impairment.
sounds drunk.
Okay, he's got he said he
Cool.
has a speech impediment.
Okay, I will not make fun of you for sounding drunk anymore. But now that we've clarified that, so okay, gender is sex, right? You're saying that like there is no difference between these two things. So like how do you account for the fact? I mean, I guess do you just not consider any of the other aspects of gender, like that there are certain jobs that are considered for women or for men? Like, do you think that there is some biological component, like something that has to do with your genitals as to why generally men play football, or like generally men are mechanics, or like generally men are electricians, like, or is that not related to your genitals?
That related to my body and how it functions. And because I have testosterone, because boys are mainly growing up being rough house and have a lot of excitement, it's more natural for a male to be more physically active with his body than a female.
But
Not
there are
every
female
male, but
electricians. There are women electricians.
yes, I do agree with you. But at the
Okay.
same time, for me, I look at the baseline, not the eyeball in the bunch. I'm disabled, but at the same time, my disablement doesn't stop me from being male.
So wait. So if you're saying that maleness is in part defined by things like your physical strength, then how is a
Yes,
disabled man who can't do those things still a man?
because how his body is organized.
But
Yeah,
if you
I'm
have
weaker
muscular
than
dystrophy,
more.
excuse me, hold on. If you have muscular dystrophy and you're confined to a wheelchair, if you have cerebral palsy and you are confined to a wheelchair, your body isn't organized around doing masculine manly things.
I think so. It still is, in my opinion,
No, it
because
isn't. It objectively isn't.
without
If you can't lift heavy
with
things, then if your definition of
yeah,
man is that you can lift heavy things, then you aren't a man.
no, my definition is about the functionality of the body. I have a capability again, a
You
woman
don't
pregnant.
though. In
Now,
this, I don't know about your
I,
particular disabilities, but somebody with cerebral palsy is not capable of doing that.
they still are. They still have sperm. Maybe they don't.
How does that have to
They're
do with carrying heavy
physically
things?
disabled and
What
sperm
does sperm have to do with carrying heavy
because
things?
that what makes me a male.
Okay, so
Everything,
you
my
you had
muscles.
this conversation with Forrest recently, and I see that you are in no way any further educated on this than when Forrest was talking to you about this. Because, okay, what if somebody has testicles, but they have like a gonadal problem where their body doesn't respond to testosterone at all? Like, at what point, like, where do you draw the line? Honestly, Cortez, the answer is you don't have a coherent definition of what a man or a woman is. You don't even have a coherent definition of what male and female are. And you're just moving the goalposts. Like, we catch you and we say, hey, you just said that gender has to do with your behavior and with cultural expectations and with things like that. And then you go, oh, actually it has to do with your physical capability. And when I tag you on that, you say, oh no, it's actually the sperm. And then when I go down and I say, like, well, what if your body like has testicles but doesn't produce any like sperm? Like, okay, then you're just going to move the goalpost to something else. The answer, Cortez, here is that you don't have any kind of coherent understanding of this topic. You have very strong feelings, but you are completely and deeply ignorant.
I'm just saying I agree with you. Gender is about stereotypes and social roles and stuff like
You
that.
are directly
But
opposing what you just said.
Yeah. So
no,
so
I'm
going. Let's
saying
go back. Let's
that
go back to where I'm at. Okay. So I'm gonna take it back to where we were because you literally just said. So is there a difference between sex and gender?
I said no earlier.
Okay.
But when
Okay. You
I
did say
first
no.
when I first when I
What you're
first
doing is
started this
flip-flopping.
conversation, I said gender, yes, is about stereotypes and stuff like that. And when I said that, you said, "Well, that's not really answering."
I didn't. I
am
didn't say
answering.
that. I know. Okay. Okay. So I said we're on the right track, right? Because the reason that even if we take the bad definition of that gender is stereotypes, like let's just grant that for the sake of argument, right? Because gender is much more complex than stereotypes. But I'm just going to use that. So even if you say that, so there is a difference between sex and gender. Yes.
Yes,
Okay, great. So for you, a man, a person who identifies as a man, is somebody who is doing the stereotypical things that men do. They like trucks, they roughhouse, they can pick up things and things like that. That is what a man is to you, right?
no, it's about his body. I'm a man. I'm a male
Cortez,
because of
Cortez,
listen
my
to yourself.
physical
Listen to
body.
yourself. Listen to
Cortez.
yourself. Listen to yourself. You just said two completely opposing things. You said just now, gender is about stereotypes. And then you said, no, gender is about your body. You are just flip-flopping back and forth on these things. Do you understand that this is
I
super
said
frustrating? You just refuse to
no. I
actually
said
acknowledge one
that.
specific definition.
I said I am categorized physically and biologically because of my body. It's my sex. It's not my
Okay,
gender.
so
It's
that's
not my
different. That's
opinion.
different from your gender, correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. That's all I'm trying to say, Cortez. You said that there's a difference between sex and gender, and that's what I've been trying to say from the very beginning of this call, is that there is a difference. And you, at the beginning, were saying, no, in my opinion, there isn't. But now we are at a point in the conversation where you say that there is a difference between gender and sex. Great. So now I'm going to ask you this question, okay? Now that we know that there's a difference between sex and gender, do you agree with this sentence? Some women have penises and some don't.
No.
Okay. So now let me explain to you why that doesn't logically make sense. I'm going to say another sentence to you, okay? Some coconut trees have coconuts and some coconut trees don't. Does that sentence make sense?
Yes.
Okay, great. Cool. All right. So the reason that the first statement, which is some women have penises and some don't, is what I'm doing is essentially a logical test. So if you believe that there's a difference between gender and sex, let's use the example that penis is the sex and that gender is the woman. So therefore, if there's a difference between sex and gender, then the sentence, some women have penises and some women don't, makes sense because there's a difference between the two things, between the woman gender and the penis of the sex. Does that make sense? That's why I say some women have penises and some don't make sense if you say there's a difference between sex and gender, because the woman is, in your words, the stereotype, and the coconut or whatever you want to say, the penis is this body part. Does that make sense?
Not to me.
Okay, great. So that's why it's hard for us to have the conversation. That's why it's incredibly frustrating, because you just said to me that sex and gender are different, but you don't agree with the logical sentence that some women have penises and some don't, because the word woman is the gender in this case. The word female is the sex in this case. So that's
I
why they're
consider
different.
I consider a woman a sex term. A woman
Okay,
can give birth. A woman goes
cool.
through a menstrual cycle. A
That
woman
that
is weaker than me. A
okay,
woman has
Cortez.
more talents
Are
and
those
has
stereotypes? Are those stereotypes? Because you said that women, as in a gender, is a stereotype. Everything that you have just stated are biological, meaning female, meaning sex.
Yes, a woman is
So
weaker than
therefore,
me. I am
this,
more stronger than a woman.
that's not a stereotype. Those are things that you are trying to say about somebody's body, which is a sex
Yeah.
term and not a gender term.
Well, when most people say females or women, they are talking about
I'm not
someone's
talking about
sex.
most people, Cortez. I'm talking about the societal understanding of what gender and sex is. And you can't just wish
Well, I
something
don't.
away and it's not existent. Because Cortez, if you don't believe cars exist, it doesn't matter because cars exist. Just because you say gender doesn't exist doesn't mean that gender doesn't exist. It's your own fantasy world to think that gender doesn't exist. Why
I
should
can
I
accept.
believe your fantasy world that where you live in a world where gender doesn't exist while everybody else on the planet believes that gender exists? Why should I listen to your point of view when everybody in the world says gender exists and you don't?
Well, I give you a straight reason. If you want the social rights that y'all want to fight for the social rights that y'all want to fight for, and you want team members on the team, it's going to come to a point where you're going to have to meet a person like me that says, yes, you should have a social right. Yes, you should not be harmed
So
or
what is that
killed
social
because
right,
you
Cortez?
you
What
can.
is that social right? Like define it to me. Does that mean that somebody has the right to live and be a woman in society and keep the right to do so? Is that what you mean by social right?
Yes, I mean you can.
Okay,
If
great.
you
So what is
can
that? Is that
describe your
gender?
body
Is that
as
gender? Is that right a gender-based right or is it a sex-based right?
women's rights are sex-based rights.
So why do you say that you believe in our ability to like let's say me as a trans woman, do you believe in my social right to live as a woman?
I believe in your right to describe your body and not be costed and not get beat up. Yes, you should be
So
able
is that
to
okay,
live and describe your body as you want to.
so it's not my body, it's my lived experience as a woman. It has really very little to do about my body. So my lived experience as a woman and when I ask for women's rights and to have the right to be a woman in society, that is my gendered right.
So, what kind of rights do you want that a biological female has in
All
society?
of them.
So, you want to go in women's restrooms. You want to
Yeah?
have.
That's a gendered
You want
restroom, yeah?
you want to you want to compete against females and sport athletes.
When I go play,
People like
soccer, sure, I would like to play with some women, that's fine. I'm not a professional athlete, but sure. I don't really play a lot of
and
sports personally.
and this is where people like me, it's not just me, it's not just you that has your opinion or me have my opinion. This is where the rubber hits the road. Because for me, I wouldn't allow, not you, but I'm just saying, if I describe a male, I wouldn't allow a male to play on my niece's team or college or
I
Okay.
or
really love this because
I
first of
wouldn't.
all, I don't think you care about women's sports. And second of all, you are just doing the same thing that everybody always does, which is equating trans women's bodies with men's bodies. Trans women, when they go on estrogen, lose like 20 to 30% of their muscle mass because of those biological differences that you're talking about. A trans woman who has a low level of testosterone because she's on testosterone blockers and has a female level of estrogen in her body is physically basically the same as a female. In fact,
Yeah,
things like
they just released a
cardiovascular
study.
disease, cardiovascular disease risk, you match women's cardiovascular disease risk when you go on estrogen. Like and they've, yeah, like Josie was saying, there have been a couple of studies, and one just came out that shows that trans women don't have a sports advantage.
I disagree with you.
You
Well,
cannot
you
disagree
can't
with the
disagree
facts.
with
Most-
science.
You cannot disagree with the
Most
facts.
people-
The fact is that for
Yes, I
20
wanna
years,
disagree
Cortez,
I
Cortez,
want to
Cortez,
disagree with
I will
a
mute
male.
you. I want to get this statement out. For 20 years, trans women have been allowed to participate at the Olympics so long as they have a low level of testosterone. Actually, the level of testosterone that they're required to have is lower than what a lot of cis women have. So they have a lower testosterone count than the cis women do, and they have to be on estrogen for like at least 2 years. For 20 years, not a single trans woman has won a medal at any Olympic sport, even though they have been allowed to participate in every Olympic sport. So there is no justification for this bigotry that you hold, because you
Those
can't get it
males
in your little brain
don't
that
belong
trans women's
in
bodies are
female-
women's bodies. Trans women have a female phenotype once they've been on when they've been off testosterone and they've been on estrogen for long enough. There is no demonstrable sports advantage.
Those males do not belong in female sports. Plain
That's
and
your
simple. They
opinion,
was
and you'll get
born
voted
male,
out
they
every
don't.
time.
Facts
Like
over feelings, Cortez. I don't care about your feelings.
It's your opinions and feelings don't actually make real life things happen. Like in reality, like you're gonna get voted. This is all gonna get voted down. We're all gonna win these fights, and history is going to show that the people who made your argument were completely ignorant. Like you can go ahead and just clutch your pearls all day about the fact, oh, I don't want trans women to play against other cis women, but like at the end of the day, you're wrong. There's no data or evidence to prove otherwise. You don't understand the difference between sex and gender, so therefore your language is completely limited because you can't have a conversation with actual depth to it because you want to talk about 2 + 2 = 4 and not talk about 2.1 equals 2 plus 2 equals 4.1. Like you have to realize that there is a better language and better understanding of how we talk as society that explains things better. To pretend that things don't exist is a childish way to look at the world. That's why I said just because I don't believe a car exists doesn't mean that cars don't exist. Just because you don't believe gender exists doesn't mean that gender doesn't exist. I'm sorry. Your view of the world is different from the rest of society. So you're the one in the minority, not us.
I don't agree with your explanation when it comes to gender. I believe in your right to live your life in society and everything like that. But yes, there's a lot
Actually,
of
you
folks
don't.
in America.
Actually, you
though.
don't.
that
Actually, you
don't-
just said that you don't. You oppose trans women in women's sports. You oppose trans women in women's
Yes,
bathrooms. You
because
don't support our
it's
right to
a
live in
Yeah,
society.
that's not our
Based
right.
sport.
Yeah,
It's a
you don't support our
sex-based
rights.
sport. It's
So
a
you
sex-based sport.
So
Okay,
do you use your dick
females
in
fought for the
basketball?
right
Do you
to
use your dick in
have their own
basketball? I want to
sport.
know, do you dribble a basketball with your
Do
dick?
you know anything about what hormones do to people's bodies? When trans people go on hormones, do you have any concept of what that does to the person's body who's taking that medicine?
Like you said, yes, their muscles get lower and stuff like that. But that's all about manipulation.
Okay, but that doesn't
When it
matter. Okay, that
Yeah, it
doesn't, whether
does.
it's manipulation or not, when you are saying that your gender is defined by your biology, if you change a bunch of biological facts about your body, you are meaningfully changing your sex. And I know that some people will say like different things about this. I know even some trans people might, have a different opinion about this, but like if a trans woman has been on estrogen for 10 years and she has almost no testosterone in her body because she got her testicles removed, she is biologically closer to being female than she is to being male. She's weaker than you. She's softer than you. She has softer
yeah.
skin. She smells like a woman. Like, she has
No,
meaningfully
I think
changed,
that
and
I
she does not retain.
disagree with
Cortez,
you.
shut the
It,
fuck up. She does not retain the male advantage. She doesn't have a male level of strength. She doesn't have male tallness anymore. She shrinks. The size of her feet shrink. Your ignorance on this topic does not give you the power to like tell other people what they should or shouldn't do. You oppose trans people's tangible rights because of your ignorance.
Yeah.
I've
You don't
opposed,
you don't
and
support
I'm
trans rights.
against
You don't support
males
trans rights. You don't
trying
support
to.
trans rights, Cortez.
I'm
Just say it.
against
Do you support
males.
trans rights? Yes or no? Do you support trans rights?
What
Do
rights?
you support
Y'all have
trans
rights.
rights?
What rights?
Like being able to use public facilities, being able
Yeah.
to
Pull it back to the
yeah,
bathroom issue. Do you support
yeah.
trans women in women's bathrooms?
No, because the
So you don't
bathroom is
support
a
trans
set
rights.
space.
You don't support trans rights, and stop going around saying you do.
I didn't say a trans race. I said I support y'all living your life in society without getting harmed.
So Cortez,
I'm
you
not
you know I'm
supporting
I'm a
male
trans woman. You
invading
know I'm a
a
trans woman.
female
Okay,
space.
so Cortez, you see me out and about in the world, and I'm just going to go use the bathroom, and I walk into the woman's bathroom. What are you gonna do about it?
Well, I can call the law, and for
And
me,
what is that?
I wouldn't
What is
put
the
my
law?
hands on you, but that's
So you're gonna
violation
harass
of those
me.
females in
So
that
you would
space.
harass me.
You are
Yeah,
invading that space.
So are you gonna harass me? Are you police officer Cortez gonna go in and be the gender bathroom police and just say, oh, there's a trans woman in there. There's a trans woman in there. Is that what you're gonna do? Or are you just gonna let me piss in
No,
peace
it's
and
a
go out of there?
male in that space. It's a
Okay, so what are
male.
you gonna do?
Yes,
What are you gonna do, Cortez?
You
What are you gonna
don't
do
belong
personally?
in that space.
Okay,
If
so
you
what are you
want
gonna do
to
about
go
it?
to that,
Cortez,
you
I
want
don't care
to go to the
about your
bathroom,
thought.
make your own.
I want a
Make your own.
real world scenario, Cortez, because we spent way more time on this call than we probably should have. I want a real world scenario, and I'm here, and I'm going, and I go to the bathroom, and it's a woman's bathroom out in the restaurant, and you happen to see me because you know I'm trans because of this show. What are you gonna do about it?
I want to tell you, you're not allowed in here because you're a male. Make your own restroom. Why do you have to invade
So
female
that's what you would
sex
say?
spaces?
So you would yell into the bathroom saying that? That's
Yes,
what you would
I
say?
would tell someone, yes, it's a male in that bathroom.
Do you
Okay,
think that
cool.
is
Just because
safe?
you change your
Do you
body
think that
doesn't
makes the
mean that
world
you
safe
have a
for
right
trans
to
women?
invade
Do you think a
female
trans woman
spaces.
would be safe in the men's bathroom? Do you think Josie would be safe in the men's bathroom?
That's not a woman's problem. You chose a choice. Now you're going to have to
But no.
deal with it. Make
What
your
I'm
own.
Answer the
getting at,
question.
Stop
Cortez,
invading
what you
female
just said,
spaces.
Cortez, oh my
Simple.
God, what you just said is that you support trans people's right to be safe in society. Would
Yes.
Josie be safe in a men's bathroom?
I don't know. Probably, yeah.
Okay,
I
I'm
saw
done
a
with this
tr- I
call. Good
saw
night.
a trans.
Hey, thanks.
It
Thank
was
you.
long enough for a clip.
I
We have a
know.
few
It
callers
was
left
long
before
enough.
super
Yeah.
chats. I wanted to let it
I
breathe.
I was ready for it to be done too because we were at that time.
Yeah.
So I just
I-
wanted to hear what he would do about it, and it would be harassing me. But honestly, you know what? Actually, he'd just sit quietly and stew about it because he
Yeah,
doesn't have
he's
the
a coward.
fucking balls to fucking go and do that. All right? Like, you know, that's what it is. He's a fucking coward sitting behind a phone, sitting there being like, oh yeah, I would totally bully and harass you. Like, get the fuck out of here. No, you wouldn't. You'd fucking just stew about it and cry about it or complain to your waitress about, did you know that a trans woman just went into the bathroom? It's like, to be like, which trans woman? What are you talking about? Like,
Yeah.
you know, like it's like I want to call it out the way it is. Like, show me what your bigotry looks like in the real world, because it's just behind a fucking screen. That's what that's my new thing. It's like, show me, tell me what actually you're gonna fucking do, because you're not gonna do it, because you're not the freaking like gung ho gender police. Like, I had it up to here with people like that.
I'm starting to wonder if it's legitimately ableist for us to keep taking his calls. Like,
Yeah,
I think he
exactly.
might legitimately not be intellectually capable of having a conversation where it's coherent.
It's not helpful. It's just not a helpful conversation because he continues to just revert back to the talking point because he doesn't understand the logical test. That's
Yeah.
why I asked the logical test. It's a logical test. That's why I started there, Lux, because
Yeah.
you got to start there. Because if you don't have the ability to to pass a logical test, such as if you believe there's a difference between sex and gender, then the sentence some women have penises and some don't is a logical test to follow through with your actual belief between the difference of two things. And if you cannot answer that question, then the conversation literally goes nowhere. And we've
Yeah.
demonstrated that on this show dozens of times at this point.
Well, we have like mostly nice callers, I think, for the rest of the show.
Okay.
You want
I'll
to
let
just take
you
them in
pick.
order?
Yeah. All right.
Sure.
I'll
Let's take
you
35
clicking?
too.
Oh,
You can go
I'll do
ahead.
it. Okay. Hello, Ross. He, him pronouns from Texas. You are live on the line with Lux and Josie. What would you like to talk to us about?
Hello, Josie. Hello, Lux. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great.
Trying to
Just
bring
a
my
l-
blood pressure down.
Excellent.
Yeah, exactly. The
Yeah,
calls are spicy, but so
was
are we.
crazy.
Yeah,
you know,
it
with
was.
transphobes in the bathroom, it's just like I also like to pose the question of, okay, I'm sure both of you know about Buck Angel. Like, where would you
Yeah.
want him to go in the restroom? Because biologically he's female, but I think that looking at Buck Angel, these transphobes are the no, of course not. We want him to go to a male quote unquote male restroom, but
Yeah.
crazy call. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Or I guess we have to come up with millions of dollars to build our own bathrooms. Insane take, but
Oh,
whatever.
so
Anyway,
ridiculous.
You know, I'm just gonna roll a
Gender
toilet
neutral
next to
bathrooms
him
are
and
just so much better,
just
but
gonna build a toilet right in the middle of the
Yeah.
right in the middle of the dining room and just go right next to him.
I'll
Anyways.
carry around my own honeypot.
Yeah, exactly, and just plop it down.
Oh, it's so ridiculous. Well,
Yeah.
anyway, guys, no, this is going to be a hopefully, fingers crossed, much better phone call. I just Lux, this is really a question posed to you. I am someone who's very trans affirming. My partner, she's in the LGBTQIA plus to some extent. She's not trans, but you know, we're big allies. But forgive me if this comes off as crass. I'm very blunt at times, but I know that Lux use they, them, and it pronouns. And I was thinking about this, and I said, that's really interesting because whenever I hear the word it makes me think that that might be derogatory. And I've heard you in phone calls previous and prior where you say they, them, or it pronouns, and then it's very clear that someone is using it in a derogatory sense, and you're like, okay, cut that shit out. So what's the reasoning for going by like it pronouns? Like, is it derogatory? Like, how's that? Sorry, maybe just rambled there, but
I'm going to respond in a joking manner to start off with. I am not trying to rope people into a kink, if that's the question. In the question of like, am I intending for people to be using a derogatory term toward me in public? No, that's not the intent. So, I mean, it's kind of like, I will step around the terms a little bit because we're on YouTube, but it's like how my friends and I will call each other the T slur, and I call myself the F slur. And queer is a term that has largely, you know, at periods of time been considered a slur, but now it's kind of just one of the go-to umbrella terms. Like I prefer to say queer instead of LGBTQIA plus just because it saves me some breath.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. So it's kind of in that way where it's like these terms lose their power the more you use them and the more you are like, I'm going to identify with my freak rather than like pretend like it's a problem that I'm a freak. And in particular, why I'm attracted to its pronouns is because I am agender. I don't really identify with the normal constructs. Like even the way that a lot of other non-binary people identify, like I don't necessarily feel like I fit completely in with that group. And for me, its pronouns are just like a comfortable for me way of embodying like that difference and that alienation that I feel. Although like I'll take they them pronoun. Like I only use they them in my real life. Like I don't have my partner call me its pronouns. Like it's mostly something that I do and it is kind of a way to be like transgressive, I guess, within the online space and to like kind of push towards a level of like, well,
Button.
why do we still consider this derogatory? I mean, obviously some people still use it in a derogatory way, but some people use queer in a derogatory way.
Hmm.
It's like when you hear one of those
That is
pastors
true.
say like,
Yeah.
these queers, and then you think of the Simpsons meme, like,
Right.
haha, I'm in danger. Yeah, so it's multifaceted. I don't know if there's anything you want to dig into deeper there.
No, I mean it's definitely food for thought, and like, yeah, I'm someone who definitely like I don't use slurs at all. But my girlfriend, being part of the community, sometimes she'll just throw like a random S slur. I'm like, oh, geez, the power. I
Yeah,
can't,
yeah.
I can't say that. But I think,
Yeah,
yeah, no,
exactly.
that's right. I would never say that, but here she is. But I mean, I get it because that is a word that is used to demean like that community, and it's not something that I or anyone outside of that community should really have like any like input on in like the usage of. But um, no, I think yeah, just I was just curious in terms of like its meaning. Um I think you pretty much answered most of my questions, or my only question. I do want to. I'm a school teacher, so it's kind of hard for me to call TACIS because I think you guys are only available on like Thursdays. But I did want to ask Dr. Ben and Josie an additional question. Josie, is it okay if I
Sure.
maybe
Yeah, please.
segue and ask a different? Okay, great. The question that I wanted to ask was, why do you think that people are so uppity about trans women specifically and not trans men? Because I feel like it's just so maybe I'm very naive in saying this, but I think it's so disproportionate, and like society is so much more cruel to trans women than they are trans men. Could it be a misogyny
Yeah.
factor? Like I'm curious, like
Yeah.
what some trans people have to say about this.
So if you really want to get into it, you should read a
Yes,
book
yes,
called
man.
The Whipping Girl by Julia
Okay,
Serrano. It starts
okay.
with the whole idea of oppositional sexism, right? The idea that how dare a man step down from the
Hmm.
patriarchal power to be the lesser sex, right? That's the oppositional sexism point of view. So therefore,
Mm.
to take away the trans woman's humanity, they make women, trans women in particular, um, overpowered, disgusting, and to shame the body of a trans woman even more so because of
Mm.
oppositional sexism. Cis women's bodies are already shamed, right? So they even layer it on deeper to say a woman with a penis is even grosser and should be even more shameful. For example, there's a lot of different ways that, for example, when you at least in the 90s in particular, when trans women were portrayed in media, they would very rarely, unless you're watching Ace Ventura, portray a trans woman as a cis woman. They'd always make it like Dwayne Johnson in a tutu type situations rather than the actual
Yeah.
like femininity of women. And when it was, you have situations like The Crying Game where the woman disrobes her clothes and then she has a penis and the man goes and literally vomits in the bathroom to like absurdity because it's like how disgusting of a body do they actually have. So it's all rooted in oppositional sexism. And so when you talk about
Oh, okay.
trans men in particular, they don't really care as much because they don't see in oppositional sexism, you would never see a woman being able to equate to a man, so therefore they can be ignored. It leads to the invisibilization of trans men because the idea of a woman each reaching the same level of power and authority as a man is laughable and shouldn't even be warranted of discussion. Versus the other direction, the man will be aggressively crushing cis women. So that's a part of it. There's an entire book on it. It's a The Whipping Girl. It's a great
Yeah.
piece
What's
of
this book called
literature.
again?
The Whipping Girl by Julia Serrano.
Whipping Girl. Okay,
And
The
it's
Whipping
it's
Girl by Julia Serrano.
particularly yeah, it's particularly the answer to the question that you asked about why trans women.
Thank you for providing that resource. I'm trying to read more in 2026. It was a hobby of mine that I really like, so I appreciate some adding to my library and of
Yeah.
educating me. Yeah, I mean, I really wanted to just get, an input from a trans woman to see like what do you think about that. But yeah, I mean, historically have not been very kind to women, trans or cis. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's true.
I
I mean,
I, I
it's
understand
to the
that.
point it's to the point where like they literally say that trans women have biological advantages in beauty contests, for example. Like literally trying to say that
It's
because
gross.
we're like,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like,
I mean,
it
beauty
goes
pageants
it goes
themselves, I have a huge problem with.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right. It's
Absolutely.
super misogynistic.
Yeah, yeah.
But
So
that's
yeah.
just gross. That's yeah. I mean, I guess that's folks. I mean, I guess that's that. It's the idea of just men are always going to be better no matter what they're doing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Really gross.
Well, all right. Well, thank you. I know that call was short and sweet, and I know you were waiting for an hour
No,
for
I
that,
didn't
but
have. No, it's okay. I enjoy listening to y'all. I mean, I listen to y'all's like I followed the line Edge and the line and Jimmy and Joe Biden. Like I follow all these leftists. So I watch you guys like whenever like religiously like just doing things. So I didn't
yeah,
mind waiting. Just before I
appreciate
go, I
you.
did want to say, Josie. I mean, it's not going to really mean much because you seem like a very strong and confident trans woman, but I do want to say that, like, I think, and this is just a complete compliment, and I mean nothing by it, but seeing you with your transition and how passing you are gives me a lot of hope and like happiness for like people going forward to it, assuming that this could be something that is more affordable. Fingers crossed that like
Yes,
people who
yes,
want to pass, because I know passing is it varies person by person. It's very subjective, and I don't know what the actual passing would be, but it gives me hope that people are going to be able to quote unquote pass they best they seem fit. I wanted to say that your transition it rocks. You go, girl.
oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. But and just
Of
to
course.
add to that,
Yes, ma'am.
the reality too is like I don't want to be people's goal, right? Like I like when it
Fair
goes, I
enough.
don't like
Right.
like I don't want people to be like, oh, I cannot be like Josie, so therefore I shouldn't transition.
Right. Yes.
So for
That's why I
me,
preference like based off their idea. Sorry to interrupt you.
yeah,
Just like based off
no, it
their comfortability. Because like yeah, women look different, men look different. It's all about your
yeah,
perception and whether your gender dysphoria is qualms, quote unquote. Sorry to have
yeah.
interrupted you.
No, it's okay. But that's essentially like passing is a very controversial thing, especially in trans
Mhm.
communities. And it's one of the things that I don't and I try to say this as much as I can with folks is like I don't do this because I passing is what I'm trying to do in society. I'm not going around telling the world that I'm a cis woman out and about, right? Well, I
Mhm.
do. If it's a complete stranger, I don't give a fuck what they think. But at the end of the
Mhm.
day, like even when I'm walking around, like when I'm because I'm running for office, I wear a pin that has the Maryland flag and the trans flag on my lapel because I do that in solidarity with my trans siblings that don't have the passing
Mhm.
privilege to be able to do that because it is something that I do to make sure to show the world that it's like I do this not
Mhm.
because I'm trying to hide who I am. I do this because I'm just living my best life. And it's my choice to be able to be this way. And so that's really what it comes down to. So, but I appreciate where the comment was coming from. But yeah, well, Ross, well, thank you so
Yes, ma'am.
much. Yeah, awesome.
Of
I'll
course.
talk to
Thanks,
you
Lux.
later.
Thanks, Josie. I really appreciate you guys taking my call. Enjoy
Yeah.
the rest of y'all's stream.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Have
for
a good night,
sure.
man.
Awesome. Bye.
All right.
All right. Um,
So we have 2 callers left, but we only have time for 1. So I just want to address Alex from Colorado asks, is it okay to introduce a trans friend as trans to other people? No,
yeah, it's actually not.
that's all I
Yeah.
have to say. So I apologize that you waited for a little bit, but we're not going to take that call because I don't have anything else to say besides no.
It's
And
not.
then, yeah, it's not
And
cool.
and no, it's not. It just, that's just how it goes. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's simple. All
Thanks for
right.
calling.
We will talk to the other Alex. who comes from somewhere in the world. You are live with Lux
Hello.
and Josie. How are you?
Hello, Lux. Hello, Josie. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you.
Awesome, awesome. Well, my question is about the terminology. First of all, I am up to date with forest, sex, and sensibility to our video. I'm fine with all of it. Um, but but I have this situation I've encountered online in a discussion thread. The discussion was about an article about a trans man in Great Britain giving birth. They basically went on hormone replacement therapy, but then decided that they would still like to give birth, interrupted it, gave birth, and then continued it afterwards. The article does not mention them having Sawyer syndrome.
Hmm.
Now, based on on my understanding about sex and gender, uh, when it comes to sex, there are multiple areas that can be described. There's the genome, there's the phenotype, there's the hormones, there's all of them. So it might be I know it might be complex when trying to describe someone just as male or female when referring to sex, right? So far?
Sure, sure. But I guess so. Just for the sake of time, what are you trying to get to on this
Well,
call?
in this thread, there was someone claiming that this trans man who gave birth was a male.
Okay, in the article.
They call not in the article, in a discussion thread. There was
Oh,
someone claiming that that trans man was a male. To
sure,
my
but
understanding, that is incorrect because
yeah, I mean,
I'm not.
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. And at the end of the day, like if we're talking about the sex assignment of a human being, right? And if we know like they're a trans man and they gave birth and like they're very open about their trans identity. Yes, you can say that the person was assigned sex at birth, but like assigned female at birth. Like, but at the end of the day, it's like it's really just splitting hairs, right? And I think it's because a lot of times when you think about it, and even in the conversation that was very contentious earlier, people try to conflate male and man as the same word, and it's because of because people just don't understand the difference between sex and gender. So a lot of times people will slip up and say the other word instead of one of the other words. Hell, I've even done that on this show before, where I accidentally say female or woman in when I meant the other or the, and it's just because language can be clunky, and also language evolves, and our behaviors and our own mannerisms when we speak to one another also have habitual, like uh I what's the word I'm looking for, habitual like markers that we do just by accident. Like, so for example, I used to say you guys a lot because I was from California and I used to do that a lot. Now I say hey friends, right? Like that's my own thing, right? I say hey friends, how are you, right? It's something that I developed for myself just to try to get rid of the word you guys. And did I have to do that? No. But I did because I just wanted to be more accurate with my language when I'm addressing a group of people. Um, does that make sense?
It makes sense. Also, there's someone in the chat I see here that said they didn't say a male gave birth, they say men gave birth. No, in this particular case, the
Yeah.
person posting in that forum actually said that a male gave birth, and that's what I
Sure.
found confusing. And
It's easier to focus on the conversation if you ignore what the chat is talking about when we're in the actual call, because obviously they're going to
yes,
say things that don't necessarily represent our opinions, and we're here to steer the
yeah,
conversation with our opinions. So I
mm,
mean, the way that Forrest describes this, and I don't know if he uses this term in his Sex and Sensibility video, but the term that I learned from him recently is polythetic. So sex is a polythetic characteristic, meaning that it's based on numerous different types of characteristics. I do think that there is a lot of very interesting nuance in a discussion about, like, okay, so if a trans man goes on hormones but doesn't get top surgery and doesn't get any kind of surgery, then like how would we define their sex? Because at that point, based on like the polythetic definition of sex, they are hormonally and in many phenotypical ways they are male by that definition, but some of their sex
okay.
characteristics are still female. So I have wondered in the past before if it would make sense to say that like trans people kind of move through an intersex space as we change our bodies. But I think ultimately, like, these terms also have a facet of being identity terms where like a trans man might call himself male um, for, because he fits into enough of those, and because it is dysphoric to be considered female. And of course, like, you could say like you could use physically non-binary instead of intersex, since intersex usually refers to something you were born with and not like a
Yeah, yeah,
transition that
right.
trans people go through. And I would also never want to tell a trans man who's only gone on hormones and hasn't had any surgery that he is physically non-binary. Like I would not put that on someone else. So I think in
Right,
many
right.
ways, this
That's
situation
why I
is
wanted to ask this here,
self-determination.
not to people I know in real life. I thought that this is a
Yeah.
safe
So
place
like
to
if
ask.
that trans man who gave birth identifies as male, if he's like I understand that my sex is male, then I think that that would be appropriate. As far as like what is technically correct, I think that we get hung up on technically correct in these situations in a way that can be kind of dehumanizing, whether we intend it to be or not. Um, and like, yeah, when we talk about like we can meaningfully change sex, like if a trans woman has been on estrogen for 10 years, she has big old titties and she has a beautiful feminine face and she has a vagina and she doesn't have testicles anymore, like in what meaningful sense can we say that she is male? Like I
Yeah,
don't think it's reasonable to say that that person is male, but maybe she is like, well, I still have XY chromosomes and I still think of myself as like biologically male, but identifying with a female gender identity. Like I'm a woman, but I'm still biologically male. Like if she wants to
okay.
describe it that way, that's whatever. But yeah, I think we get mixed up in the technicalities of this in a way that can sometimes not be particularly helpful.
Yes, I agree, and I learned some new things today. Yes, I
Yeah.
learned about polythetic. I'll have to dig into this. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. That
Yeah.
was a remarkably comprehensive answer. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yay. Awesome.
Thanks to
Well, thank
Forrest.
you, Alex. Yeah. I appreciate the question. Have a great rest of your day. Okay. Fine. That was fast. He dropped out.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So that's the end of the calls. So now it's time for super chats.
Super
Also,
chat.
if you haven't liked or subscribed, please do that now. If you've been here for the entire time and you haven't liked and subscribed yet, then what are you doing? Like, come on, like make that happen. Also, if you want to donate to my campaign for office, and help us get to 55,000. We're already at 53. Let's make it happen. Awesome. Thanks.
I
Had to
just
do
want
the
to share a
plug.
personal milestone. Thank you to everybody who was watching Chewed Gum this week because you helped me get to 40,000 subscribers on my channel. So thanks,
Wow.
everybody. That's very
That's super
exciting.
great. Congratulations. You're going to have
Yeah.
a button on your wall soon enough.
Yeah, just 60,000 more.
That's it. That's it.
Just a few,
Uh,
just a few.
just a few.
Yeah, don't
So
forget your
yes.
$5 or more super chats. We will read them. And don't forget to include hashtag Team Josie or hashtag Team Lux. And the loser has to defend a funny position. What funny position is winning right now?
Oh yeah, what is it? I don't even know.
State-funded queer brunch is winning by 4 points. So get your
Oh
votes in that poll
wow.
in the chat if you
Okay.
wanna change that up at all.
All right. So $10 from Barely Begun 4415. How much latitude do you give those in our community? For instance, Sarah McBride voting for Kirk resolution, even though he personally attacked her for being trans. Hashtag Josie. Um, well, politics is weird. I will say this in a very, very serious way. So in politics, when you're in a body of 400 and 35 people, um, when you know resolutions, especially resolutions of all things, like they have no real weight to them. They're just like paper. We don't know what Sarah McBride was doing in the background with somebody saying, "Can you please vote for this, please?" And she's like, "Okay, but I want you to vote for this other thing." Right? And so she could have been currying favor with somebody knowing that the resolution was going to pass no matter what, and probably didn't want to spend political capital to vote against it for whatever reason that may be. There's a lot of political science like ways of like looking at how political capital is spent in on a floor in a body. We also don't know what relationships she's trying to get at that time in those particular things. I can easily say, as not elected, sure, I would have voted against that because screw that, right? I can easily say that. Um, and I would stand on my principle on that. But sometimes there are points of view where it's like, oh, I can vote for this piece of trash resolution. Who fucking cares about it? As long as I can get a bill passed over here. Maybe, like, if you're trying to defund ICE and you're trying to get somebody to vote against ICE, I would probably vote for, like, if that was the deciding, but let's put it in context here, right? If I was trying to get votes to, like, defund ICE, for example, right? And some idiot was like, can you please vote for this resolution? It's like, can you please vote for the defund ICE? And then it'd be like, well, I guess, yeah. All right, great. Let's fucking defund ICE then. Right? And then that actually has real implications that actually saves real lives. And so you have political capital, you have to spend it, and you have to be able to use it in ways that make the most sense. There are things that we can easily question looking in. And I know Sarah. Sarah is somebody that I personally know. And I would tell her to her face that she made a bad vote. But we're still going to work together for the betterment of trans rights across the board. So am I going to blow her up and be like, you suck? No, I'm going to be like, Sarah, like, let's work together. Let's get me elected. Let's happen. So we have more people on the board to make sure that we fight for the things we have common interest in. Politics is weird. That's why people hate it so much, because it's really hard to see behind the curtain. And yeah, but yeah, I'm not happy that that's the answer I have to give, but I really don't know what she got in return for that vote. I hope it was good. That's all I can say. I hope it was good. Oh, Lux, you're muted.
I was about to eat. I was like, it almost sounds like the system that we have is shitty and doesn't work on a fundamental level. That's crazy.
Yeah.
$8 from Skeptoidia says Lux's spiked collar is super adorbs. Thank you. Hashtag Team Josie. It's just part of the shirt, but thank you very much.
Oh, by the way, your hair is looking nice. I see that
Thank
you're
you.
are you doing my curly girl method?
I haven't gotten any new things. Like I'm doing my curly girl method, which is like I like use some of the same products that you had listed,
Okay.
but I don't know. It's like I just can't. I think I need a different gel to like hold the curls. Like that's the thing that is letting me down right now. Is the gel that I have sucks.
Well, it takes a lot of time for your hair to gain the texture, right? It takes months of a new system for you to be able to get it.
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing the same thing with it for like since I moved here, but I don't know. We'll figure it out eventually.
I will say I use the JVN air dry curling cream, and it's pretty great actually. And I think Lux, your hair texture is a little more similar to mine. But
text it to me. I'll look it up.
All right. 5 pounds from Willow Worldview. I vote we make Lux the new gender. Honey, I'm Lux gender. Anyway, hashtag Team
It sounds like
Josie.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
I know. Oh man, that's a deep cut.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for $5 from Glam Pixie. Here comes a transphobic ass answer from a transphobic ass. Being a transphobe is not normal. True. Yeah. God, that was crazy.
I love how Arden just like snuck the Lux vote in when they said Team Josie. Like, you see that?
What?
Was there no Team Lux in there?
No,
yeah.
it wasn't. Go back. I promise.
Wait. We're talking about this one, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
the one that
Okay.
says literal Team Josie on it.
Nope, you're right. I
Dyslexic moment.
hallucinated.
I see what you really want, Arden. After that nice conversation we had before the show, I take it back. Everything.
Is this one mine or yours?
I think it's yours.
$5 from Joshua Everett. Dresses look so comfy to wear generally, but offer little to no protection in case of a zombie invasion. Hashtag Team Josie. That's true, I guess. You gotta wear some like Kevlar underneath your skirt.
Yeah, of course. $5 from Prestigious Panda. Yeah, because teaching kids that people who are different than them are weird never ended badly. Ben sounds like a bit sheltered, by the way. Diversity is good. Yeah, Ben's more than sheltered. Ben is bad.
Terrible human being.
Yeah.
Thanks for another $5 from Joshua Everett, who says, wow, Ben the human poo-poo stain. Hashtag Team Queen Arden forever and ever. True. Yeah, I saw that she had messaged about it in the production chat, and I just didn't have a chance to get in. So she interrupted at the perfect time.
$4.99 from Bram Lacey CX. Props to Arden for taking out the trash. Yes.
Thanks for the $5 from Mystic Mind Analysis. To lighten the mood, I made Lux as a cult member in Cult of the Lamb video game. It's a dragon-adjacent reptile with spiky punk scales. Hashtag Team Lux. Thank you. You know, which is crazy is that this is not the first time someone has told me that they made a video game character of me in their video game. Yeah, that's fun.
But the question is, were you a good cult leader in Cult of the Lamb? Because it is possible to fail.
That's a good question. Yeah, I would love to know.
That's a very important question. 5,000 ARS from Olivia BAR, just my periodic troll, South Carolina. At Q the Line,
Super chat. I see a super chat.
Now it's like $3. Love you guys. Anyway, by the way, you gifted 50 memberships during the show. And I just want to say thank you so much, Olivia. You are amazing. Amazing. Supporting us all the way from Argentina.
Hell yeah. $20 from Green Man Dave says, down with pants, up with kilts. There's a double meaning in that. True.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. $10 from Fiona the Foxy. It's only been 2 years, but it's really took me almost a full year to see her in the mirror. Getting over your self-image is the hardest thing in transition. Yes, it really is. It really is.
Congrats, though.
Yeah.
Thanks for another 5,000 ARS from Olivia, who says, oh, fuck, I forgot. Hashtag Team Josie always. Love you too, Lux. Thank you. I forgive you.
$20 from Green Man Dave. OPE. I forgot to vote. Hashtag Team Dragon Kitty.
You got to connect. I know that someday you're going to run for something beyond just Maryland. You're going to have to connect with the Midwesterners because that's OPE.
OPE?
Yeah.
Okay, got it now. See, this is what you got to do. You got to teach me things. That's the only way I can be better.
Got to become. Did you end up getting a Wyoming, by the way?
Oh, I did. Oh,
Good.
I did.
All 50 states.
Yeah, I actually texted that person personally and was like, thank you so much. You're incredible. And they were like, we're supporting you over here. I'm like,
That's
yay.
awesome.
Yeah, it was super great.
Thank you for the $5 from Green Garbador, who says, thank you, hashtag Team Josie, for your call 2 weeks ago with Bill. It helped me fully accept my agender identity after months of reading, therapy, etc. Hell yeah.
That's so great. Oh, I love that so much. I love that reverse Uno card, though. It works so well. Try 550 from Eliar the Free, or Illyria. Maybe it's Illyria?
Elira, maybe?
Elira the Free. Apologize if I butchered that. I'm a trans woman, 43, from Turkey, living a lie during the day, living as me after dark. Still have to work to save up enough for medical transition. Don't want to lose my job, but it's so frustrating to live the truth alone. I'm afraid to tell someone. Well, you told us, and I support you, girl. And keep being your best self.
Thank you for $10 from BB Bunny, who says, I have a 6-year-old child who asks why he looks like a girl. And my trans mask friend said some guys look like girls and some girls look like guys. And he shrugged. And that's all he needed. Just saying. Listen, I hated that conversation so much, but
So
that is like
much.
genuinely easy to understand. Children don't fucking care. And if you just
don't.
treat it like it's not a big deal, then they will also treat it like it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But he was a child
Yeah.
abuser, so we're trying to use
Yeah.
logic on a child abuser, so.
Yeah. $10 from Skeptoidius. Other bin reminds me of this guy I used to work with. I would literally spend the entire workday debating other bins, same talking points, hashtag team Josie. I don't even think Ben deserves other Ben, because that even makes him kind of like close to our Ben, which isn't
No.
even fair to Dr. Ben at all. So yeah, I reject that premise completely. But yes, he is annoying. And oh, by the way, speaking of child abusers, did you see the video of the MAGA guy that went and tried to assault like a high school protester?
That happened
And
in
he got his
Buda.
ass handed to him by a bunch of teenagers.
Yeah, teenagers literally
So
beat his
funny.
ass.
I didn't
It
watch the
was
video, but I
so
heard
good.
about it.
It
Matt
was
and I
so
are in
good, dude.
Buda all the time. Like half of our chores around reptile stuff is in Buda. Matt was actually in Buda at the time, but it didn't pass by that specific thing. And he
Oh,
was
Matt
like, "Oh
could
man, I
have joined
wish."
in on the fun.
I know.
Yeah,
Just
like,
run
you
over
know.
and start kicking the dude.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, keep it up, kids. Keep it
Yeah,
up. Get
that's
your
so funny.
pencils. Go for the eyes.
$5 from Space Barbarian says, I fear if Cortez resolves his cognitive dissonance, he'll cease to exist. Yeah, I haven't decided whether we should ban him or not, just because it feels like beating up the special ed kid. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Again, insulting kids that need special needs. That's why are you doing that? Like $10 from Skeptoidius. Cortez may be a issue. Um, isn't trans women in sports who have consistently shown to be weaker than their cis counterparts. Maybe the issue is that you suck at sports and you're just being big mad. True. It's true.
I do wonder if he's compensating for something because of his disability. I don't know what the disability is, but he's kind of implied that he can't do things physically. And so I do wonder if he's just like, I need to prop up my male superior, like my male supremacist ideology, even because he feels inferior. But I don't know. Who fucking knows? Who cares?
Who knows?
Also, I
He's
haven't
psychoanalyzing
reviewed
an
it,
asshole.
but there was a study I saw posted about. I have not read it at all. That
The
seemed to
new one?
suggest, a new study that seemed to suggest that trans women may not, in fact, have athletic advantages.
Oh,
but
it's a great study. Yeah, they don't. We
Yeah.
don't.
I have to read up on that one and use it for next time.
We don't have advantages. Like it's just like, yeah, we don't. We knew this already. Like it wasn't like fucking breaking goddamn news. Like we already knew from previous studies. Like it
3
already
decades.
showed. Like it's like, oh, breaking news, trans women aren't strong. Yes.
Y'all
we
can't even
know.
open the pickle jars that you desperately need to get into.
I know. $5 from Joshua Everett. Some people are squirrel-handed. Cortez sounds like he smells. No two people are not on fire. At hashtag Team Josie.
Yeah, that's fair. I bet it smells crazy in there. $20. Thank you. That's very generous. From Motodo Severin says, just for Lux telling Cortez to shut the fuck up. LOL. I can't just pick one of the beautiful folks. Hashtag Team Josie. Hashtag Team Lux. Oh, null vote. Also, I'm not a lady, but thank you.
Yeah. It's funny. Somebody misheard me in chat. I have to read this chat because it's so funny. They're like, now they are forever going to say men are defined as people who can pick up trucks. If you can't pick up a truck, you are no longer a man. That's just how it works. Sorry, everybody.
Steve Rogers is the only man.
Yeah, he's the only man. The only one.
I think I found the study, and just for the chat, the conclusion reads: while transgender women exhibited higher lean mass than cisgender women, their physical fitness was comparable. Current evidence is
There you go.
mostly low certainty and has heterogeneous quality, but does not support theories of inherent athletic advantages for transgender women over cisgender women.
There you go.
We've
There
been
you
new. We've
go.
been knowing.
That's why we have biological advantages in beauty pageants, because that lean mass. We got that lean mass. That's what they'll get from this study. See, they have lean mass. They're better at beauty pageants.
Which, by the way, I still have not read the paper, but I'm willing to bet like fat and muscle distribution has a lot to do with hormone composition in the body.
Yeah,
And so I'm wondering like how long these participants had been on hormones and what degree
exactly.
that impacts that lean body mass distribution. But yeah,
That's true.
I haven't read this at all yet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gonna be interesting to dive
it's
into.
true. It's all that I got is a bunch of fat where my muscles used to be. Believe me, I could feel it.
You got the bat wings? You got the
Yeah, I do. I do. They're there. They're there, just hidden in this stress. All right.
Next one.
Next one.
Or did we
I
read
think
that one?
no, we didn't read the last one. Can you go back one?
It
Sorry.
just said Cortez in it, and I
Yeah,
assumed.
it's another $20. Thank you so much
Thank
from
you.
Moto Dozovarin. Men like Cortez are afraid of trans women because he's attracted to them. Men like that think it makes them gay. It is strange mindset. My niece is trans and she follows you ladies. I appreciate all you do. Aw, we'll tell her we love her. We love you, niece of Motodan.
Thank you for $10 from Beaker Squeakers. Great name. What do people think supporting trans people even means? You know, saying, I support you guys. I just don't want you to have any rights, but I still support you. Hashtag Team Luxander the Great. Legitimately. It's like, I support trans people's rights. Like, okay, but you're directly opposed to several of them. So it's the lack of consistency. He just kept doing it. He just kept saying one thing and then directly contradicting it repeatedly and bouncing back and forth.
Not understanding logic. This doesn't
beating up a
understand
5-year-old.
logic. Yeah, it's like logic 100 is needed. Like doesn't understand A plus B equals C. Like just doesn't get it. $4.99 from Bram Lacey. YouTube keeps trying to censor my super chat, so here, just take some damn money. Hashtag Team Josie. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you for $5 from Foxy Illuminata, who says, have some money. Won't let me say what I want. Some good calls, some bad. Hashtag Team Luxander. Yeah, it's a struggle today.
Yeah, thank you. $5 from Daffy 3332. At Ross, previous caller, your heart is in the right place. Maybe change terminology to I'm glad to achieve what you wanted to achieve. No goals implied. Yeah. It's been a weird day with that today with me. I don't know what they were on. It was a lot. It was a lot.
Real quick, because we do have limited time and super chats are still rolling in, I might have to bump the super chat threshold up to like $20 or something, just to just to slow down the roll. So super chats going forward that are going to be added to the queue have to be $20 or higher, because Lux has got a double, and I don't want it to be fucking trapped here while we're trying to rush.
If we're like a couple minutes over, it's not a nightmare situation, but we still have our like 2 solid minutes of thing we do at the end. So let's try to, I guess, pick up the speed a little bit. Thank you for the $20. Hold on. Did we read that one?
No, we didn't. That was another 20. We can't skip
$20
these
from
20s.
Moto Severin. Thank you. Says, I finally broke down and joined the Line membership. I don't always get to watch live like I did today. I love all the shows. F you, Jimmy. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. A $10 from Annie Divine. From front on, I thought Josie's headphones were the brim of a cute little sailor hat worn to the back of her head. So, if Josie ever needs hat ideas, I thought it looked cool. Hashtag Team Josie. Thank you. And the only sailor hat that I show is this one right here, because it's the only one I ever really cared about. There's a story there, but we don't have time for me to share it.
Jimmy said that we can delay if we need to. $5 from Daffy, who called earlier. Thanks to you both, to Team Lux, for giving me a new perspective during our call. Might call next week. Got more thoughts there. Yeah, and who is it next week? Next week, it's gonna be Ben and Riverboat Jack. And I think, is it official now? Riverboat Jack on the schedule?
Yes.
Like,
The schedule's still on normal font.
Yes,
she's official. Okay. Arden is stepping away from hosting, and Riverboat Jack is our new regular on TACIS. So that's going to be exciting.
Woo, go Jack. Yeah, she's officially added to our line Discord, so that means she's officially onboarded.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome. $5 from Lena Langington, looking for a decent therapist for trans stuff in Portland, Oregon. Any thoughts where I should go, Lux? With the confidentials to look for, or credentials to look for. Hashtag Team Lux.
I'm not seeing a therapist right now, so I would be just Googling for you if I were to try to find this. So, I mean, you're going to be stuck with whatever your insurance covers, and if you're not stuck with whatever your insurance covers, then you're going to be stuck with a sliding scale clinic. So just be prepared to do a bunch of research. Ask around on Reddit, like Google and go and like include the word Reddit in your Google search, because that's like the forum nowadays to find what people's opinions are of who are good providers and who aren't.
$20 from Moto Dozavern. I had to change my name to my gamer tag because Arden, LOL, Medika Eton.
I think it's supposed to
was
be
a little
Medic
confusing.
Keaton.
Oh,
Medic
I
Keaton?
see Medic
Me
Keaton.
Dick
Yes,
Eaton is what I see.
that's what I see too. Damn it! I failed.
I think that's why they changed it.
We both failed the Rorschach test on that one.
That's very
Lux.
funny.
Yeah.
Thanks for $5 from Mr. Boricua 10, who says, missed the show today. Will watch back. Hope your days were better than mine. Here's to a better one. Be well, y'all. Hashtag the other voice of God. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, Lux. Right. Okay. Yes. My brain short
That's me.
circuited.
Yeah. I'm the other voice of God.
Sure. $5 from Ted Diver.
Me, Dick Eaton. Sorry, that's just really funny. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm 25 years old, and is it too late for me to transition? I have always lived my life as a man, and I feel I am a woman. What can I do? Let's see. It's never too late to transition. You're right. And you should just start experimenting with stuff that makes you happy. Look for the euphoria. Look for the little joys in your life.
Yeah. 25 is definitely not too late.
It's definitely not. It's definitely not.
Thank you for $5 from Joshua Everett, who says, to be absolutely fair, while I don't know anyone who has picked up a truck, I do not know any man who hasn't tried.
That's true.
That's so fucking funny, dude. Oh my God. I know a man who hasn't tried. I can guarantee my husband hasn't done something fucking stupid like try to lift a truck. That's crazy.
Oh, that was funny. $4.99 from Sophia Seville. A great team today. Love Josie. Donate now. And Lux. But fuck you, Arden. You're the best. I don't see you as often as anymore. Hashtag Team Josie.
Yeah. Lux touched on it. I put it in chat. I'm stepping away from hosting. I said indefinitely, which doesn't mean forever, but it means I don't want to put a timeline or a plan on it, because then there's like pressure to come back, and that's almost just as bad. So, yep, just for now.
Just for now. You heard it here, folks. That's what Katie said.
Wow.
Accurate. $5 from V Draws says, Lux is my spirit animal. Give it points, all the points. You know what? You could have said hashtag Lux, and that would have given me a point. But what you did is gave me 0 points.
That's right. That's
Crazy.
right. That's all it deserves. $10 from YouTube Grunge. It's luck to be lady tonight because luck be a lady tonight because Lux isn't a lady tonight or any other night. Hashtag Team Lux. Hashtag Team Void Kitty.
Accurate. I'm getting a new cat this month.
Aw.
Which is exciting. $20 from Charles, who says, Alex, Colorado here. Sorry, my question was more specific than that, and I didn't do a good job of asking. First time all. You both are great. Thank you for all you do. Yeah. Also, we just were running into the end of the show, so we were going to have to drop one of you, and your question seemed to have an easy answer. So no hard feelings, hopefully. People complain sometimes like, oh, we didn't get in, like, you made me wait. Like, this is exactly like all the other shows where if you are an oppositional caller, you get priority. So if you call in with a friendly question, sometimes you just do not get through. That's not what the show is for. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Anyway, that's all the super chats. I lost. Sad. QQ. I cry. Cry.
Yeah, QQ. Yeah, sorry. I'm just, politically, I'm just a juggernaut these days. That's what they say.
That's true. People here, I take it as people want to hear me talk more than they want to hear whoever else is here. So
Whatever
whether it's
helps
you
you
or whether
sleep.
it's Ben, yeah, exactly. I gotta rationalize it somehow.
All right. I got this thing queued up. Are we ready?
Yeah.
All right. Charging up the clock in 3, 2, 1.
I personally have never been to a queer brunch because I don't have friends. But I honestly, like, part of the reason is because brunch is so expensive. You know, you're trying to get mimosas, you want a little champagne, and you got to pay like dinner prices for what is basically a glorified breakfast, which just seems irrational. Like it's bacon, it's eggs, it's like maybe a little bit of like a salad or lunch situation. Ridiculous how much this is costing, okay? And it's like more and more expensive every day now. You've got to pay like the tip, and you've got to, all these extra things, paying for the wine, you just all this stuff. So what we really need is for this to be state funded. And the reason why it needs to be state funded specifically and not just through crowdfunding is that queer people are underprivileged. We're underemployed, we're underhoused, and we require community. And you know what? We require space. You should just subsidize the takeover of regular spaces to make them queer spaces. I feel like brunch is like either you're like a rich white woman or you're a queer, and those are kind of the two options. So we need to dominate that space, push out all the rich white women, because who the fuck wants to be around rich white women? We need to be there with our little, our little wrists and our little pinkies on the mimosa glass, okay? Getting a little bit sloshed early in the morning, right? This is how we do things. People say, oh, the future is female, the future is female. No, the future is trans, the future is non-binary, the future is queer. And it starts with government subsidies. That's what we're going to do. Get the government subsidies, get your delicious... What do people eat at brunch? I don't actually know. I imagine it's like breakfast with like a lunch element, but I genuinely have never gone to a restaurant before 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
French toast.
French toast. Yes, yummy. Sounds delicious. Let's go. Let's take over the local Applebee's.
And we'll call it the queer tax.
Yes, the queer tax.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what it
TERFs
is.
have to pay double.
They do have to pay double. Yeah, you have to register as a TERF to be able to.
If you are
function.
a TERF and you want to go to brunch, you have to pay double to subsidize the queers at the next table. That's how it works.
Yes, exactly. That's how it should work and should forever work.
TERFs are marked by a pink triangle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, everybody, thank you so much for watching The Line on the Transatlantic Call-In Show today. Make sure you join the Patreon, like and subscribe. Make sure that we do everything that we can to make this line even more of a force than it already is. And make sure you stick around for Lux and Jimmy on Call In It Now. That's what we got to do.
Patreon.com/call the line.
Love you guys.